Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your platforms of SimShed Broadcasting for round number 8 of the Custom Paint Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. We are at the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway for what is the Magic Mile 250 here tonight. I'm back again for a second week in the row. My name's Aidan Schultz, and back after a week off, not feeling the best tonight, but he's still here nonetheless. Carl Withy, good evening to you, mate.
Good evening, Aidan, and JP behind the cameras, of course, doing all the hard work while we just get to talk about magnificent racing here in the Custom Paint Diecast as a weekend. The Australian Car Championship. We are here, as you have here, the kind of paperclip design, of course. This track, it's one of those tricky circuits, quite flattish banking. It's not got the highest banking levels, of course. And it's handling some really interesting racing, of course, here.
Yeah, most definitely, and we're coming off the back of what was a big week for the Custom Paint and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship, coming off the Anzac Cup last week, going from plate racing at Talladega Super Speedway across here to New Hampshire Speedway tonight. Totally different configuration for the drivers and totally different night in the office behind the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the plates are taken off, so they have that full 700 plus horsepower back underneath their right foot to go. And of course, on a track like this, you've got to be really careful of losing that back end. It's very easy to do if you put your foot down a bit too early in mid-corner. The back end will step out on you.
100% with that independent rear suspension now. We've seen that even more so in these next-gen cars over the first, say, 8 rounds going into 9 rounds here tonight. But also in other leagues, we've seen these cars with that independent rear suspension, very tricky to drive early. But we just touched on, they're coming off a plate race, Carl, here to New Hampshire tonight for what will be round number 9 of the Custom Paint Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. We'll just go through a little bit of the race info and track info here tonight for round number 9. So, of course, your location tonight is New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the virtual Loudon, New Hampshire. The track length is 1.058 mile in length with 4 turns rather. They've got a pit speed limit tonight of just 35 miles per hour. It is the race date, March 2022. They'll tackle 237 laps around New Hampshire tonight. Total race distance will be 251 miles. It'll be about 2 hours of racing tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There is no fuel restriction tonight with a fuel burn of approximately 2.8 gallons per lap. We will expect the drivers to come down pit lane on 3 or 4 occasions tonight, depending on caution. Of course, they do have a higher set limit of the 4 sets. The air temp is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind speed and direction is 15 miles per hour from the northeast. As I just mentioned, it's about a 2-hour race. That's what we saw last year, when your winner, Hamish Gallagher, took the win here for the Custom Paint Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. Your lap record at the moment is held by Michael Skurlock, who's out there tonight with a 29.615. He's currently second in the practice session at the moment, sitting there with 30.83, so about 1.2 seconds off his best this time last year. In saying that, we were in the old Gen 6 car and we're now in the next gen. But they're the track information for you tonight here, ladies and gentlemen. And while we're on it, and we're about to go into qualifying, we've got about 7 minutes to go. So we might just bring up your current championship standings as we go into round number 9 here tonight. You'll see currently when they come up in front of me, just wait for them to come up. But there's been a mixed bag up the front, a couple of interesting rounds. Reuben Phelps from New Zealand comes in to round number 9 tonight. He extended his lead at the front of the championship. He's up there at 302 points. Early days yet, but a good start by Reuben nonetheless. Keep an eye out for the 06 tonight. Edward Foster there, after leading the championship early, he's dropped back to second on 258 points. Stephen Williams there on 254 points in third. Kobe Jordan retains his 4th position in the championship on 239 points. Wayne Van Bion there on 236 in 5th. And Adam Malone, Jamie Nankervis, Darren McKenzie, Norman Clark and Justin Allen rounds out your 10. So early days yet, Carl. The championship, Reuben's had a good couple of rounds, but a long way to go as we roll across the page to Chris Scott in 11.
Yeah, look, the championship is long and it is always hard. There is a lot of fighting that goes on in the series, and look, a decent lead at the moment. 44 points ahead of Foster. That's a nice lead to have for Reuben. Of course, he's going to be pretty happy with that. As you can see down as we scroll through a little bit further, a lot of drivers in the championship, and we've got one of those drivers lurking in the booth at the moment, sitting down in 26th position to Mark Johansson. Mark, how you going?
Good, Carl. Evening, JP and Aiden. Yeah, it's a tricky little track, this one.
How are you finding it out there at the moment?
I can't say on air.
I can't say in PG terms, so I imagine it's a little bit tricky.
Oh, look, coming from the super speedway back to a mile track, reasonably flat, and just got to give your tyres a chance to warm up, and then the car settles down a lot. A lot of guys will be changing down to fourth gear turns, and then changing back up as soon as they get straight again. It's just going to be a tougher night, mate.
Well, mate, I'll just jump in quickly. Mark, you did reference that we come off the back of the Anzac Cup, which was at Talladega Super Speedway last week. You mentioned, I just said on the pre-show rather, that we go from a super speedway into a 1 mile at New Hampshire tonight. Different train of thought when it comes to racing. The plates are off. That independent rear suspension being a little bit patient on the car early on. It's a different change of pace to what they saw last week.
Yeah, it definitely is, Aiden. It's the next 3 weeks. We've nicknamed it Hell Month. We're here at New Hampshire. Then next week we go to Dover, another little short mile track, and then we probably go to one of the hardest tracks to conquer at Bristol at night. So 3 very tough tracks in a row for the guys.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm not looking forward to my return at Bristol. I'll give you the tip. But it's going to be an interesting 3 weeks. Get those out, and then I know a lot of people struggle. A lot of people like the mile and a half to the super speedway. Some do struggle when they get on the shorter courses, but some people excel as well. And some of those guys are leading the championship at the moment. Be Ed Foster and Reuben Phelps 1 and 2.
Yeah, look, it's a hard one to toss up here. If I had to, realistically, if I had to pick someone tonight, I'd be saying it's Ed's race. He just seems to come to the forefront in these short tracks.
And it's not just those two you got to worry about, as we're referencing them. Edward Foster is in 5th in the practice session. He's only about half a tenth quicker than Reuben Phelps, who's sitting there in 7th. But it's not just those two that are battling out at the front of the championship. It's going to be everyone else in the race as well. There's some good steerers in here, as always, for the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. Andrew Dyson's pulled the 041 DPR out of the shed. He's in a rich vein of form in everything he drives at the moment, taking, I think, the last 3 or 4 wins, bar the other night in another race. So Andrew Dyson, one to look out for. Of course, Michael Skurlock, too. Carl and Mark, he is the current lap record holder. Hamish not back tonight this season to be able to reclaim the New Hampshire title this tonight. But one of the other drivers will definitely take it home. But not just to look at Ed Foster and Reuben Phelps, as I mentioned. There's plenty other drivers out there tonight that they've got to look out for.
Yeah, look, definitely, mate. Andrew's had a great run in Ann's car. He's had a great run here with us at Weekend Warriors. Michael Sherlock, he can put in a good show too. You've got Jamie Nankervis and Brad Allison. They can, if they're on song, they're a tough couple to beat. Stevie Williams, he's another tough one. So there's probably 8 or 9 guys realistically that can win this race tonight.
And one driver as well. One driver that kind of we've not really mentioned there in the broadcast so far, Daniel Heddershide as well, as we're looking at now at the 035 road track specialist, and does well on the short track as well. We saw him in NASCAR at least having a really good run at Phoenix, and he's had some really good runs and some really good tussles with Dyson as well. But he has that road racing experience, and same with Andrew Dyson, of course, both road specialists. but on these shorter tracks, it tends to pay off a little bit. So keep an eye out for those two as well. But watch out for Reuben as well. Reuben has been on a really good run of form lately. He's got a lot of teammates near him. He could be in for a good run tonight. Brad Allison as well. He's been having a really rich run recently too, in the 0-3 as well. Another driver that could really pull something out of the bag tonight. So don't be too surprised if we see quite a lot of drivers up there early on, and quite a lot of drivers just sort of sitting there or thereabouts and just waiting for cautions to come out because. Of course, fresh tyres are going to be a big advantage on a track like this.
Yeah, exactly. And they're 30-minute practice session. Sorry, 40-minute practice session. It'll be interesting to see who's taken the opportunity to do a longer run here, or whether they're just going for one out pace. So we'll see how we go. But just quickly, another one to keep an eye on as we're just going across into the qualifying session here for round number 9 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship is the Adam Malone number 3 Southern Stars. Just keep an eye out for him. He's been going well lately as well. But we're into the qualifying session, Carl. Who's going to take the pole position tonight here for round number 9 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship from New Hampshire as Ed Foster makes his way out onto the track, and he's going to set the pace here early in qualifying. Carl, jump across. Ed, no doubt, will be very quick here in the qualifying session. I would suggest he was up in the top 5 in the practice session, but now no other cars on the track. 53 Natari Autosports has it all to himself. We'll see where he here in the qualifying session.
We will indeed as we get there. Oh, loses the rear end on the exit, and that's going to cost him. So he's going to abandon this lap. So that is it for Ed Foster. Jumping over to Daniel Hepburn, just having a look at Heddershide. He's keeping it in 4th gear down the straight. So he's keeping it very much in 4th gear, keeping the revs up in the car. He's one that I would say is looking good for pole. I think we're just on with Brad Allison at the moment, Adam Malone at the moment, I believe.
I think we've got Brad Allison there in the 0-3.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
Stephen Williams has gone purple as well. So Stephen Williams in the 98, he's just gone purple sector. We'll see where that puts him. Will he be the first to drop a lap here for round number 9 as he makes his way down the back straight? So we're about to start. There we go. Adam Malone puts the first time down, 31.06. So he sets the benchmark here for round number 9. Brad Allison, 31.2. So the times are starting to drop in here now, Carl.
They are indeed, as we look at Reuben Phelps there for his lap, seeing how this one goes for himself. Of course, it's one of those tracks where you can take a couple of different lines here at New Hampshire as we come across to start the second lap, I think, for Reuben Phelps. Whether this one grab him, he jumps up to 5th gear, going down the straight, he jumps up to 7th. So getting into the first sort of set of corners here, and it is always a tricky track. You can just kind of take a mid to high line here. As Foster is back out there, he jumps up into 3rd position. So he's having a good run there. Nice lap from him, but it is Dyson currently in the lead with a 30.718 fast lap there from Andrew Dyson of DPR. Very nice lap from Heddershide sitting in 2nd, Foster 3rd, Malone in 4th, Steve Dub sitting in 5th at the moment. But just listening to the cars as they're going out on track, it is interesting to hear and see what gears they're taking, where they're lifting, how they're driving the cars. And these things really make a difference. I think currently out on track, we're just looking at Toby Jordan at the moment as he's coming for his run. He's currently sitting down in 14th position, so he's going to hope he can improve on this one. Just looking for drivers as Michael Skurlock's just going out for his fast lap now as well. One of those drivers as well that I expect will be getting a good run, and he could be one of those ones that might get that pole position. So he's going to be trying very hard for that. As we come towards turns 3 and 4 here, again, just lifting off a little bit as you come in there, keeping that mid line, so mid to high line here for the qualifying session. Don't want to cut it too tight in the corner because you will start to scrub off. It's good run off the corner, of course. It is a asphalt track here with a bit of granite in there just to spice things up a little bit, but it is one of those tracks that can really catch you out if you just get wide a little bit, because there is that slight change of surface on the corners themselves as well, and that can really catch you out sometimes.
Yeah, and we saw that there by Michael Skurlock as he was very close to the outside wall there coming off turn number 2. So we'll see on his second lap here whether he can better it. He did go green sector. He is gone at the moment as we're on board with someone else. We'll see if Skurlock did go better, and he did. He went one better up to a 30.84. So Michael Skurlock up into third as we're on board with the 07 of Mark Smith at the moment. So we'll see where Mark Smith can put his car here in qualifying, currently in 13th position. He's going to have one run at it as we've got 48 seconds to go. He's gone green through the first sector. Through turn 3 and 4 he goes. Can he get off the corner nice enough? This will be a PB, and we will see Mark Smith move up the leaderboard as he makes his way down the main straight, and Mark Smith jumps up into the 9th position there, Carl.
Yeah, nice run from that one. We are seeing the second lap probably the slightly better lap, especially in this new generation of car. The tires warm up a little bit. Those big rims, of course, on the Gen 7. The tires take a little bit more time to get some heat into them, of course. New Hampshire up on near the Canadian border, of course. It is up just between Maine and Vermont, sitting just above Massachusetts and just below Montreal, sort of the Quebec area of Canada. So it is a relatively coolish area, of course, up there. It's not our hottest area of America. So track temperatures tend to be a little bit cooler here, and you will find that second lap tends to be a bit better. Watch out on the start and for the early laps for these guys. I suspect if we're going to see a caution, we're going to see it on the early laps as drivers try to get their tyres up to temperature.
100%, but we see the drivers now just forming on the grid, so we'll take the opportunity. We'll go through your starting grid here for round number 9 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship from New Hampshire. It will be Andrew Dyson off the pole with Ed Foster on the outside of that front row. Michael Skurlock will start out of P number 3 with Daniel Heddersheed starting out of P number 4. Adam Malone will start out of P number 5 with Reuben Phelps out of P number 6. E.B. Williams and Brad Allison out of 7 and 8. Mark Smith and Brenton Henderson will round out your 10. Kobe Jordan and Brad Fenley will start 11th and 12th, Carl.
Yeah, then as we go from 13th, it is Norman Clark on 13th position with Adam Ariel 14th. Tristan Koch and Noddy Tompkins are 15th, 16th. 17th, 18th is Gemini Curvis and Greg Spencer. Scott McClintock and Patterson are in 19th and 20th. And then it's Maddie Ray, Mark Johansson and Brett Campbell rounding out the final order tonight. As you see there, the track racer grid being set up. Everybody sitting in their positions, getting ready for the race tonight. It should be a belter. Of course, go easy in the early stages. That's one thing that these drivers need to do. They can't push too hard too early because it's very easy for a mistake to come in. And as we said before, these cars can really struggle with getting the heat into their tires in the early stages of the race. And look, you've got to be really careful, especially as you go into the first corner. The other thing, of course, is brake temperature. The brakes on these things, they do take a little bit longer to warm up over the Gen 6 version of the old NASCAR. The brakes are a little bit different. So, you just got to be careful as you roll it into the corner. The drivers will drag the brake a little bit on the warm-up on formation lap, of course, just to try and get some temperatures into both the tyres and the brakes so they can get that first corner set up correctly. But it is always a tricky thing to do. Sometimes you can overheat the brakes and that causes you to just really struggle, and sometimes you'll just go into that first corner and just not stop the car. So we'll see who has got it right and who's got it wrong in just a couple of moments, Hayden.
100%, and it will be Andrew Dyson leading us away. It's going to be interesting, this first little phase. Will they make it through the 25% without an incident? It'll be about, as you mentioned, Carl, 4 to 5 laps until we see these cars start to steady a little bit, and we'll see what the drivers have for each other. But we're about to go green here for round number 9 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. The pace cars in. Andrew Dyson will lead us to the green flag, and we are green flag racing here for round number 9 as Ed Foster gets a good jump on the outside line down into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time tonight, Carl.
Beautiful start from Foster. He just got away nicely there. Not able to capitalise on it in the first corner, just running that higher line. But a really nice start there from him. Nice start from everybody. We're away cleanly through the first couple of corners, but there is still a long way to go for this first lap, of course. As we get pretty wide action right at the back of the pack as one of the pinnacle cars gets really high. I think Greg Spencer, he manages to keep it, though, off the wall. as they get around cleanly for the first lap at least. It is Dyson in the lead over Foster and Skurlock. Hedishin dropping a position. Sorry, Hedishin's still in fourth position. They're basically as they started, but the caution is out. They didn't make it more than one lap, more than
And
2 laps, unfortunately, and I think it's Norman Clark.
yeah, Norman Clark, as we go back to the replay, has been the first driver to get caught out by New Hampshire tonight. He's going down into the corner here. We'll see what happens with the 09. So just gets a little bit loose under brakes there about mid-corner, and then he tries to correct it. A little bit of a passenger, and looks like someone just flipped him on the front, put him into the wall. And not hard, not big damage there for Norman Clark there, Carl. So hopefully he can get back in the pits and fight another day.
Yeah, that's it. All his own fault in that one, unfortunately, for Norman. He's just lost it going in the entry, and it looks like he might have a bit too much front brake bias just going on it, just looking on board. And it looks like the car's just got wiggly, and then all of a sudden he can't save it from that spin. He just manages to keep it out the wall, and I think just missed Spencer. So very, very close to having contact there between himself and Greg Spencer. Those two just making it through without contact. So he just has a little bit of a bump on the wall, but nothing major in that car. So he'll be able to live and fight another day. One thing that does do, of course, though, is it does add a lot of temperature to those rear tires. When you spin like that, the rear tires will get super hot. So it'll take a couple of laps for those to cool down, and they've got to go through their heat cycles. Now, Curvis and McClintock both coming in pit lane. Both, I would say, just for a quick fuel top up. A bit early to take tires, of course. So the two custom painted Diecast livery cars on the front there, taking the custom painted livery Diecast paint livery Gemini Curtis coming in, of course, and Clintock as well coming in with that very beautiful looking car with blue and white colouring on it. Very nice looking paint job.
Yeah, and it's not a bad idea there by Jamie Nankervis and Scott McClintock, where they were positioned early on in that race. Not a bad idea at all. Just come down pit lane, put a little bit of fuel in it, go to the back, just sort of reset after we went caution early, only lap 3 to 237. So not a bad idea there. Mark Johansson had a good start there though, Carl. He's up 5 positions already. He's up into 17th. He would have possibly got a couple there with Jamie and Scott pitting as well. Brenton Henderson, the new signing for SRM, he's had a good start there too. He's up 1 position in at 9th as well. So a couple of little movers early in this one. Mr. Sheen, of course, Matthew Raymond started out of his traditional rear field. He's up 3 spots, 18th as well, Carl. So we're about to go green here once again. It is Andrew Dyson and Edward Foster. It's a retake on the race start here for the restart. On the inside of the second row is Michael Sherlock, Daniel Heddersheed, then Adam Malone, and Reuben Phelps, Brad Allison, Steve Williams, Mark Smith, Brenton Henderson, 10 as we are about to go green once again. So have they learnt something there and seen what Norman done, and see whether they learnt something and get a bit of a green flag run here as they make their way through turn 3 and 4. The pace car makes the way off into pit road now. So Dyson's hit the hammer early, and we're green here for the second time tonight. Dyson did not want to go late there and let anyone have a dive on him down into turn number 1 and 2. The 041 of Andrew Dyson would start here on the restart, Carl.
Yeah, that's it. Of course, after the first lap, the car in the lead becomes effectively the pace car, and it is their initiative to go. It's not on the green flag, it is on that lead car of who goes first, and Dyson choosing to go early so nobody can catch a little bit of the draft behind him and get a run of him into turn number 1. Not a bad idea, of course, and if we get another caution, he'll change that up, of course, through the night. It's one of those little things you need to do when you're leading a stock car race, and you sort of effectively become that lead car. It's a very strange skill to have, but also it's very hard to catch as well. So get people like Foster on the outside, and they're listening for the note of the engine to change to try and launch it at the same time to keep up with Dyson, and it is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah, most definitely. You can see Edward there just taking a slightly different line than Andrew into the corners. So he's just running that probably quarter a car width higher up on that seam. Andrew Dyson followed him up there, but the previous corner you saw that Ed was just running that little bit higher on entry. It allows him to carry a little bit more mid-corner, but brings a little bit off. See, that helps him with by, whereas we've got a little bit of a battle at the back here as we're on board with Adam Malone. Here he's spot. So Substars Esports, the guy that I want to keep one eye out, not because he's my teammate. Adam Malone, he's been quick in practice. He was quick in qualifying in the front 3 rows. Back there in 6th home, we've got Steve Williams behind Brad Allison as well. So see Brad Allison in the 0-3 there.
Oh, we got a caution.
On caution for the
Tristan
second time.
Koch. I think that's right. No, Mark Johansson's gone around. Sorry, different. Trouble with paint schemes on cars. It throws you out sometimes when you're used to calling them certain ones. But Mark Johansson's just lost a rear. Similar thing that happened to Norman Clark. It almost looks very much the same from the outside. A bit different on the inside there. Mark's just gone into the corner. He's gone in there, and then all of a sudden the back end has stepped out on him. Slightly different sort of spin to the fair for Mark. Luckily, nobody else gets caught up in that one. The track racer sponsored SimShed car of Mark Johansson are just losing it out by himself. That's the second caution of the night. Will we see some more people dive down pit lane? Interesting to see. I was looking through there, and Patterson's taken quite a bit of damage on his front right panel as well. Going back to see what actually happened for that one. Seeing if I can find out exactly what happened. He's taken a big knock into just out of turn 4. So yeah. He's come out of turn 4 a bit too hot, didn't turn the car enough, and he's taken a big amount of damage on the front right of that car. So he's actually coming into pit lane to get some repairs done, I'd say, as well as getting a little bit more go juice on board. But a few people coming down pit lane. So I've got Brenton Henson, Brad Fenley, Tristan Koch, Jamie Nankervis, Patterson, McClintock are all in pit lane at the moment, topping up on fuel, getting the odd repair done if they need it. A bit of 100-mile-per-hour virtual tape slapped onto the front of that car, I'm sure. And that will be back out in the field circulating soon.
Yeah, 100%. The second time we've seen Scott Jamie Nankervis go into the lane. So they wouldn't have got damage. We're looking at they don't have damage. They're just popping up again. So happy to sit back there at the moment, make sure they've got a full tank of fuel. So there we go. We're 11 into 237. We haven't had a chance to see any green flag running or much green flag running at the start of this one. We'll see what happens when we get some of that coming to you shortly. It's interesting to see how these strategies play out, Carl. They do have 4 sets of tyres across the wall. We've seen drivers already topping up, so they're wanting fuel. That's going to take them longer on their tyre set. Is it track position? How's the race going to play out? That's what I'm interested to see, as we're only 12 into 237.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people do. It's also, it's the thing of tyre wear as well at this stage. Obviously, if there's not too much tyre wear, then topping up on fuel is a really good idea. Sometimes, though, if you top up on the fuel and the tyre wear does become a bit of an issue, the heavier car can really start to make things worse for you laterally in the stint. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. But it does give you some more options if there is a late caution, and that can sometimes save you an enormous amount of time, especially at a track like New Hampshire where it is relatively short. The pace car is going to be peeling into pit lane, though. And when does Dyson drop the hammer? He drops it early, drops it right off the corner on that slightly grippier section of the mid-corner, slightly grippier asphalt down on that bottom line. And he does it right on there, so he gets a nice launch away. We can see Foster gaining through the mid-corner, trying to catch up. Sherlock's ever-present face behind him. You'll see that in his rearview mirror, and he's trying his best to get out there. We got a big wreck in the midfield. Noddy Tompkins.
And the 0-7's involved in that too, Carl. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, Mark Smith and Noddy Tompkins. Yeah, quite a lot of cars caught up in that one. So Mark Smith and Kobe Jordan have got into each other, unfortunately. And unfortunately, Kobe's gone right down into Noddy Tompkins. And poor Noddy's got nowhere to go. And he's had a huge accident and ended up on his side. That is disastrous for the SRM driver. A real shame for Noddy Tompkins. Seen some really good drives from Noddy recently. He's definitely been improving on the open side of things. For at some of the super speedways, him up towards the front. And
And you saw Noddy Tompkins there, Carl. You saw Noddy Tompkins last week at the Anzac Cup have a really solid result. But there's the replay right there.
Yeah,
Mark
and
Smith sort of looks like he's drifted up a little bit into Kobe, and that's all she wrote.
yeah, and that exactly what I said. And unfortunately, sort of, it's just that incident, unfortunately, and it looks like, as you say, Smith and Kobe just making contact. A bit hard to call at the moment, of course. Well, the race day out, the admins will take a look at that later on. But from sort of initial looks, it looks like those two just made contact. But Mark Smith's got up and, of course, caught the rear quarter panel of Mark Smith and has turned him round. And then that shot Jordan down, and unfortunately, Tompkins had nowhere to go. And that's what caused big, big damage to him. And then Mark Smith, of course, out on the track. He's been spinning around, just misses one of the other SRM cars. I think that might have been Matty Ray. He got very lucky to avoid that one. But unfortunately, Norman Clark, he chose to go up the inside, trying to go towards the wall to try and avoid that accident. And it didn't work out for him because he had nowhere to go. And then he got caught up. And then a big group of cars behind him, I think we saw Brenton Henderson as well. He got slowed down in that one. He managed to get through it. But unfortunately, Norman Clark, Scott McClintock, and Jamie Nankervis all had to come to a stop on the track because they were basically in a traffic jam behind Norman Clark.
Yeah, unfortunate for those drivers. Mark Smith still in pit lane. Of course, Noddy Tompkins, he'll have a big toe there. He'll be down in seeing Sonia in the first aid tent, no doubt. Unfortunate there for Noddy Tompkins, rather. I think I said that incorrect all last week. My apologies to us. But Andrew Dyson once again will lead us to the green flag for the third time of asking tonight. 16 of 237 here for round number 9 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Australian Stock Car Championship. We go green once again, and it is Andrew Dyson doing his familiar thing and jumping early. Michael Skurlock with a good run off the inside of the second row. Thinks better of it down into turn number 1 and 2 as Ed Foster is sticking up there on that team, that mid line, getting a good run off turn number 2, and they make it all off the restart. Nice and single file there in the background as well here, Carl.
Yeah, Dyson choosing to go a little bit later that time. He left an extra couple of meters off the corner. Adam Malone just going into the back of Reuben Phelps, just braking a little bit too late. I think maybe just not getting brake temperatures up to snuff there. He just got into the back of Reuben Phelps in the braking zone, but luckily both cars managed to hold the position. You can see Matty Ray in the background. He's just lost position to Brad Allison, who just made a beautiful pass for position, getting down the inside. And I think, unfortunately, Noddy Tompkins is out of this race. I think his height is absolutely run. The mistake, the miscall of Noddy's name is a constant issue. Something that I've done many times, though. So, yeah.
We'll have to get clarification whether it's what it's like on the timing or what I. So we'll get that, but it is Andrew Dyson still leading the way. He's about 3 seconds, or can't even really see that as we go caution 19 into 237.
Somebody's gone round. It's McClintock. You can see McClintock around in the background, and looks like Fenley's gone into him. McClintock's lost the rear again. Somebody else having a big moment losing the rear, and unfortunately he's gone up into Jamie Nankervis. So big accident. And then, as you can see, just in the foreground, one of the cars, Brett Campbell, I think it was. So Nankervis gets caught out. He is to save it a little bit, and then just in front of them, Fenley's gone round as well. He's lost it, just going up to avoid McClintock, and unfortunately he's gone right into the back quarter panel of Brett Campbell. I think it was. Yes, it was Brett Campbell, and that spun Brett around. You sort of saw that. You saw the 015 spinning around there, and that was just from that little bit of contact from Fenley, just unsettled the car. No major damage to those two, so that could have been much worse. The only thing it will do, of course, is Brett's rear tyres will have got quite hot from that one. Reuben Phelps, though, coming into pit lane. So he's the first of the leaders to come down into the pit lane. So interesting to see what Rube's up to. Is he going to take tyres? We're 21 laps in. Still a long way to go. Will it just be fuel for him, or will he take some tyres as well? Just looks like tyres. Sorry, just like fuel, I think, for Reuben there, and the rest of the pack joining him just for a little bit of extra fuel and a couple of quick sticks of the old virtual 100 miles per hour tape on the car as well, just to fix any little bits of damage on there as well.
Yeah, well, interesting move there by Reuben, Carl. In pit lane for a pop of fuel. He was inside the top five, back into 17th. The early cautions in this motor race at the moment, they've come from sort of mid-pack to the rear of the pack, just as those self-spins and a couple of people get caught out. So interesting move there by Reuben, putting himself there at the moment as he was in the top five and the leaders chose not to pit. But as the race goes on, obviously we'll see whether that pays off for Reuben, Carl.
Yeah, he was. I think he was also getting some repairs done as well. As I said, he had quite a bit of damage on the rear of that car. If JP can get the camera angle, you'll see there's quite a big dent in the rear of that car.
That was contact
Unfortunately,
with Adam Malone. That's
it
right.
was, yeah. Malone just misjudging his braking point, and I think maybe Phelps has come in just to get some repairs done on that one, just to see how bad the damage is on there. So he's just come in to get a quick repair job done. As I said, just get the old 100 miles per hour tape stuck on there and then get back out there. But yeah, the virtual mechanics would have been busy with the old 10-pound hammer as well, just banging that thing back out into some form of shape. But he just comes in just to check out on the damage, just check how the car is, and then coming back out as well. But that little top up of fuel might pay off for him. If we get a long green period here, it could be interesting to see how that one goes.
Yeah, 100% it will. Couple of different strategies already playing out right in front of us. We're only lap 23. The leaders haven't been in pit lane. Everyone down to 11th position on the racetrack at the moment have not been in down pit lane. Saying that, only 4 sets of tyres. I would strongly suggest no one has taken tyres at the moment, but already different fuel strategies playing out. We're 23 into 237. This is familiar to Andrew Dyson and Edward Foster off the front here for your restart. Michael Sherlock, Daniel Hedesheed off that second row. Adam Malone and Stephen Williams off the third row, with Brad Allison, Matthew Raymond, Greg Spencer, and Mark Johansson up into 10th position on the outside of that fifth row off the restart as they go into turn number 3 and 4. If you're watching here on the platform of SimShed Broadcasting across Facebook, all the platforms, be sure to comment, be sure to share it, because we're about to go green. You don't want to miss all the action. The field is in the hand of Andrew Dyson, and he goes early once again, and he's got the jump down into turn number 1 and 2. So it's 3 restarts and 3 restart wins there by Andrew Dyson as they go into turn number 1 and 2 again. Edward Foster running that seam, gets the run out of 3 and 4, and it is now Andrew Dyson, Edward Foster, Michael Sherlock, Hedesheed, and Stephen Williams just getting in front of Adam Malone in 5 as they go into 3 and 4. The first time under green here once again. But I tell you what, Carl, I know it's early doors, but I'm liking the look of the Natari Autosports number 53. The way he is rounding those corners, it looks like he's a little bit quicker. He's biding his time there. It'll be interesting to see as this run gets longer how Andrew Dyson handles it, because looks like Ed's really got that mid-seam working.
It does. Foster had a really good run on the outside there and just had to make Dyson ease the car up to defend a little bit and just change his lines a little bit. And that can really put you off as a driver as well. When you have got somebody just running up on your high side like that, because all of a sudden your spot will say car on the outside, and then there's something else for you to think about as you're driving. So that can really be something that throws you off in this style of racing. And it's a good idea to do if Foster's got the capability and the comfort of driving up on that slightly higher line and just getting up there beside Dyson every lap. It could really throw Dyson off a little bit and cause him to just struggle a little bit as he gets that message from his spotter just saying there is a car on the outside, and it could throw him off. But saying that, Dyson is a seasoned veteran. He has been racing for a long time, racing against some of the very top in Australian motorsport, both in the virtual world and the full metal world as well. He has taken it to lots of people. So it does take a lot to take him psychologically. So I doubt it will do much, but it is always a nice. It's always an option, and it does just get into a driver's mind a little bit, even the most veteran of us.
Yeah, and just take a note on the different lines between Andrew Dyson and Ed Foster at the moment. I've just been keeping one eye on it as you were giving a bit of background information into Andrew Dyson. Andrew's really diamonding the corner. You can see he's going in a little bit harder, diamonding it, so making it a sharper turn right there, and tries to straighten up the car as quick as he can to get the power down. Whereas the lap prior, Ed was still sitting in that sort of midline and trying to make it as long as possible per se. So different lines there work differently for both those drivers in front. Sherlock and Sheet will be watching this. They'll be seeing what they're doing. Still only 29 to 237, a long way to go. Just looking at each other at the moment, seeing where they're strong, seeing where they're weaker than the other drivers around them, and trying to put in a long green flag run.
A bit of a moment for Mark Johansson. He's just dropped right off the back of the field. Yeah, he's lost the car. No caution flags come out, but Mark's just lost it mid-corner again. Fortunately, the rear lighting up, and he's gone down into the tyre barrier, just doing a slight little, maybe the slightest of nudges, but he's okay. He's back out on track, cost him a heap of time there. Foster's taking the slow in, fast out approach at the moment, while Dyson is taking the, as you say, that slightly diamonding effect. So coming in a little bit faster, just taking a little bit more speed in the mid-corner. And that's costing him just a little bit on the exit speed, and that's where Foster's closing up a little bit. So always interesting to watch how different drivers approach the corner. And of course, you can sometimes take these different tactics. They do change how it all races, and it's interesting to see, because some people will find it easier racing with that slightly diamonded approach, and others will prefer the slow in, fast out approach sort of situations. And every driver has their own little different driving style, and you see it in the full metal world, you see it in the virtual world, and sometimes that slightly different approach can make a big difference on tyre wear laterally in stages as well. So we'll see how that one pays off towards the mid to late stint. Of course, with a lot of cautions, it does mean that tyre life and fuel is going to last longer. But Foster at the moment has got a great run on Dyson. He gets down the inside, and this is going to cause Dyson to have to run up very high at the moment. Foster has got a beautiful inside line here. Should get a nice bit of acceleration off down the start finish straight, as he doesn't quite lead a lap. Dyson just manages to get the Chevrolet badge in front of the Ford badge just by a cigarette paper. Keep the lead of the race, as Dyson just gets into the back of Foster there. They are rubbing hard with each other, really racing hard off the corner and the back straight. Looks like Dyson just braked a little bit late there, and Foster just losing a little bit of speed in the mid corner as well, so he just got a little bit checked up. Foster has taken the lead, and that means he has got a lap lead as well, so there's a bonus put in there for him now with that.
And I think that was a good move by Ed Foster to take the lead of the motor race, but I think you can see here that diamond type of line that Andrew Dyson is taking. It looks like now we might start to be seeing the tyre degradation, as Michael Sherlock and Daniel Hedderstein now arranging right up on the back of Andrew Dyson, and Edward just slowly eking out that gap in front. He's got half a second, so possibly, and this is Andrew Dyson, he knows what he's doing, but don't ride off Dyson, pulling down those tyres and that time right up the back of Edward Foster. But is that line that he's been running early in this one sort of hindering him here, as we've got a couple of green flag laps, Carl? So we'll just keep one eye on that. They've got a 2.5 second gap over the rest of the field, as we can see there. That's that's the 1-1-3 of Brenton Anderson. So he's up in the 11th position. That's Stuart Patterson behind him in 12th position. So just in front of those guys, we've got Adam Malone now too, and Stephen Williams side by side down the main straight. So Adam Malone and Stephen Williams, the battle for 5th position. Williams is trying to get that job done around the outside, or is Adam making a move on him? I'm not quite sure where they were past, but they're still side by side as they go down the back straight. Once again, Matthew Raymond with a great view of this one in the background as they're in the 3 and 4. Adam Malone very deep in the 3 and 4 there, runs him very high. but gets the job done as they make their way down the main straight. So that's stock car racing, a bit of a hip and shoulder. They did a good job there, Carl, to get through there unscathed.
Exactly. Look, a little bit of door-to-door action there in the mid corner, and that gave Adam the chance. Adam was struggling a little bit with tires. That looked like the rear was just stepping out on him a bit. He got the run on Stevie Dub there, Steve Williams, in the mean green machine of the DPR car. Stevie Dub's going to try and get back at him, but watch out for Matty Ray just behind him. We're joined up in the booth by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how are you going, mate?
Yeah, terrible night.
Yeah, I shouldn't ask how you're going, really. I should just say, obviously a bit of a rough night for you. Going into pit lane for a quick top up of fuel and maybe a stiff one.
Several stiff ones. Got a bit of damage, so get it repaired and just get out and get some more points.
It looks like it's really rough out there, especially on the rear. We saw it twice for yourself, the car just stepping out and losing traction in the rear of the car. And a couple of other people having the same issue as well, especially in that mid corner.
Yeah, mate. Look, these things, when they get loose, they get loose, and if you try and correct them, they just snap on you and turn you right. And that's exactly what happened to me that last time. I was able to keep it off the pit wall fence the first one, but yeah, this time it's just snapped on me and sent me into the outside wall, bit of nose damage. So yeah.
Look, hopefully you can get back out there and get some laps back. I think 5 laps down now for yourself, unfortunately. But of course, getting to that 25% distance, get some points on the board. Hopefully the night will pay off for you in some respects. Good luck for the rest of the evening, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll jump back up a bit later on.
No worries, Mark. And we go on board now. We're just watching Daniel Heddersheed in 035. He's at Atari Autosports 1 and 3 at the moment. He's got the job done while we were talking to Mark there on Michael Skurlock. So Michael Skurlock's dropped off the back of this lead pack at the moment, but Daniel Heddersheed, one that we mentioned coming into this evening, keep an eye out for. He's had some really solid wins here. He's the road race background as Andrew Dyson is. He's up in the third. He's ranging up onto the back of this lead battle is Edward Foster. Sorry, no, this is on board with Daniel Heddersheed. My apologies. There's a lap car just getting out of the road there going high. But Daniel Heddersheed showing a bit of pace here. Last time around, he was on par with the front two. We'll see what they did that time around. And he's about on par. He was about a tenth of a second, or sorry, 1,000th of a second quicker than Ed Foster. So just a little bit quicker there, Carl. But Daniel Heddersheed finding a little bit of pace here as we go longer and longer into this green flag run.
Yeah, Daniel's been sitting on those tyres, just not pushing too hard, letting them run in. As the caution flag comes out, Mark Smith and Reuben Phelps.
Your championship leader, Carl, involved in an accident early. Go to the replay, I'll let you call that.
So exactly the same things happened to Mark as so many other drivers in turn one. He's just lost it, and unfortunately, Reuben had nowhere to go. Goes into the side of his teammate. Not much damage on the front of the 06. But as we said, when Reuben came into pit lane, a bit of a dangerous thing to do because there's been so many incidents in that mid pack. It's very easy to get caught out, and it's exactly what's happened to Reuben Phelps there, unfortunately. And Mark Smith just getting caught out there, losing the rear of his car. And look, I'm sure so many of you are watching, just thinking, "God, these guys just can't drive at the moment. They're just really struggling." Not that at all. This new generation of car, this Gen 7 car, is so hard to catch when it loses the rear end, as the leaders are all coming into pit lane. So they're coming in for their stop right now. So I think we'll see possibly right side tyre changes and also a fuel top up here. We might see drivers taking all 4 sets as well. But these cars are incredibly hard to drive, as I'm sure you'll attest, Aiden. But when the back end steps out, the only driver I've ever seen catch it is Andrew Dyson. Who is just amazing at drifting a car. He is just incredible at drifting. And he absolutely can just catch the car. Dyson didn't take tyres. Foster's taken full set of tyres. Adam Malone just taking the right side. So we've got a mix of drivers now on different strategies. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out for the race.
Yeah, most definitely, Carl. And this is interesting.
Sorry, Malone didn't take tyres. Sorry.
Malone didn't take tyres. Yeah, okay. So it'll be Andrew Dyson and Adam Malone leading us to the green once all this plays out under caution. Very interesting to strategies. You did mention Reuben. I did say that that is the Russian roulette you play. But it looks like he's currently still in fifth, but offside over Reuben. But sometimes that can work, sometimes it doesn't. It's all about track position. Adam Malone and Andrew Dyson are thinking exactly that. But what this is going to throw in the works, Carl, and we've seen it numerous amounts of times, and we even referenced how hard it is to catch these cars in a slide. And when you do, they snap. And I can attest to that. I saw the race the other night, Carl, and I think I took out half the field. So
Yeah.
it
Well,
can happen very quickly. But now we've thrown old tyres, so we're going to have wheel spin on the start. We've thrown some people on a full set of 4, so they're going to be quick early in this one. And then we've
well,
got some people that possibly come with 2 tyres. So many different strategies.
Well, one of the things we know from driving these cars, Aidan, is the fresh tyres, they do take about a lap or two just to get up to temperature as well. So in the opening stages, you've got to be careful when you put your foot down because the sort of worn tyres do have a tendency just to sort of spin a little bit on the restart. But in the cornering, the nice warm tyres will generally have a little bit of an advantage for those opening lap or two in the stint. And then as soon as they get up to temperature, the guys behind will start absolutely catching them and absolutely start eating into the gap. What this does mean for people like Dyson, Malone, Allison, is they have got a spare set of tyres for the rest of this race, while everybody else that took tyres now has used up a set of those tyres. So if we get a caution in, say, 20 laps time, you'll see people like Dyson, Malone, and Allison come in, get those tyres on the car, and they'll probably have a really good run to the end. So it'll be interesting to see how these strategies play out now to the final of the race. But yeah, as you said, it is so hard to catch these cars, and when you lost it, it was just a situation of the back end just steps out, and it's almost a situation of you overcorrect the car, but not really overcorrecting it. You're just trying to catch the slide, and the thing will just snap on you like nothing else. These are really tricky cars to drive at this new Gen 7. It's not like the Xfinity or the truck or the old Gen 6 car. It is very different to drive. And that new rear axle has made a big change as Dyson launches away nice and quick there. Allison dropping down to the low line. I think he's going to try and let people pass. Foster already trying to get past Malone. Gets down on the inside. Malone gets loose on the outside. Manages to... Doesn't he catch it? No, he goes up into the wall. But he does save it, though. That could have been a big spin for Malone, but he manages to keep it in a straight line. But he does catch a big bit of wall there. Foster, meanwhile, is over the back of Dyson like a rash, and you can see those fresh tyres. He's able just to drive around the outside. He's got much more confidence. He's going to get a good run off the corner now. Dyson's got a little bit more tyre temperature in there, but Foster has the fresher set of boots. He's going to be able to take it around the outside here, which he does, and he gets past Dyson with no trouble at all.
Yeah, there's those fresh tyres. Edward Foster's now got them coming up to temp, and he's made the move on Andrew Dyson into first place. So we'll see the likes of Daniel Heddersheed and Michael Skurlock possibly follow suit here as they would have taken tyres through that stop. So Andrew Dyson, different strategy playing out. We did see that catch out.
In the background.
Oh, we've got a big crash.
Oh, manages to save it.
Stuart Patterson, we're still green. I don't see a yellow. So Stuart Patterson, we'll go back to replay shortly. But Stuart Patterson was facing the wrong direction down the main straight. So not sure what happened there with Stuart, but Edward Foster leads the way, Carl.
Yeah, he just got on the gas a little bit too early on the exit of 4. He managed to save it. Everybody did a great job of avoiding that. Patterson did a fantastic job of saving that car. It's very rare that you see somebody saving the car. He managed to save it. He managed to get on the pedal in the middle and slow that car down enough and not loop it, importantly. So we saw no caution flag come out there, and we saw a lot of drivers doing a great job of avoidance. But we have got issues for Mark Johansson as well, as he gets caught by who was that? Big moment there as Brett Campbell lost it in turn 4 as well. Similar incident. Unfortunately for Mr. Johansson, didn't go as well for him as he got caught by the back end of Brett Campbell's car. It's just launched him up into the wall, and that's taken off the whole front end of that car of 14.
Yeah, I'm sure Mark Johansson, after speaking to him before, I'm sure he's wants to put the 14 in the truck and go again next week. Not the night the 14 would have wanted. But Greg Spencer on screen at the moment, the 29. He's got Brad Allison and Adam Malone side by side right behind him. Adam Malone, you talk about saves. What a save from Adam Malone off the start on the outside of that front row on the older tyres. Nearly caught him out. He did collect the ball through 1 and 2 just slightly, but that could have ended a lot nastier for Adam Malone. He's still there fighting. Greg Spencer making that outside line work, and then nearly 3 wide down the back straight as Matthew Raymond wants a part of this as well. Spicing up 52 into 237. Adam Malone not wanting to let Brad Allison pass on that outside line. Matthew Raymond sitting in behind there, waiting. Greg Spencer getting really wide out of turn number 2. That's going to allow Adam, out of 4, that's going to allow Adam Malone to have a look into turn number 1 and 2, and he's going to get the job done, as is Brad Allison. So there's the change for 6th position there, Carl. Adam Malone on a little bit of a fight back after collecting the outside wall after a near spin off the restart.
Yeah, all of his guys are on old tyres as well, and you can see Matty Ray in the background. He is on fresh boots now, and he's carving his way through these guys that are on the older set of tyres. It's close to the back of Brad there. Oh,
there it is. There it is.
Contact there. He manages to right it, but unfortunately the yellow flag comes out.
I tell you what, if I didn't have a script, I almost could have written that one before that even played out in front of me, Carl. That was the good old I've got fresh tyres over I don't, just coming off the corner a little bit better and just tagged the left-hand rear there of Brad. So unfortunate there by both drivers.
And the caution came out because they basically, Matty Ray actually self-righted. It was a very friendly little thing. He got quite a bit of damage in front of that car by doing that, but he sort of redressed the position, you could say, by helping him out. So Mark Jansen's going to probably try and get that repairs done, get out there. He needs to make about 60 laps to get it to 25% race distance. So I imagine he'll get about 60 laps under his belt and then park it for the evening and head out for a nice glass of mead or something and enjoy the rest of this race on the broadcast.
Yeah, no doubt he will. But one thing to keep an eye out now is the drivers that didn't come take tyres on that last portion. Did they go, no, enough's enough, we're going to take the set now? So we'll see whether they make their way down pit lane. With Adam Malone, Matthew Raymond, and Brad Allison, a couple of drivers in behind there. They're coming down pit lane. So I'd suggest, well, Matthew Raymond will be down pit lane because he was on fresh tyres. Definitely Adam Malone will take fresh tyres. So it will be Edward Foster, though, leading us to the green. So these strategies are still playing out right in front of us. Well, we are under caution, Carl. I'll just take the opportunity, if I can, to have a big shout out, of course, to Weekend Warriors, the Australian Stock Car Championship, for bringing this series to everyone. And, of course, watching all the action live here on SimShed Broadcasting. Of course, Track Racer as a sponsor of the series. Goodyear Auto Care, Piranha, Track Campbell, Gourmet, SK Games. So shout out to all those guys. Jump on if you are on the platforms here of SimShed Broadcasting. Support the people, support the iRacing community, and go and have a look at them and support them where you can. But Carl, Edward Foster still leading the way here. Daniel Heddersheed showing a lot of pace. So we'll see. Daniel sort of got his head around the long run pace there. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's still Andrew Dyson on those older tyres here, still deciding not to get there in third place.
Yeah, interesting to see. And of course, JP, of course. JP, SimShed, all of the hard work he does behind the scenes, the unsung hero of the broadcast, as is often the case when you're sitting in the production side of the booth. As we often find, people say, "Oh, what a great job you did with the commentary team." You know, you always get praise, and it's like we just talk. We don't do any of the hard work.
We've got the easy job. We just sit here and talk about motor racing. What else would you want to be doing on your Saturday night, or for you, most nights of the week? So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't get a break, I don't think. But Greg Spencer as well, he's not taking tyres, so he is on the old set. I think Brenton Henderson might be also on old set, as well as Jamie Nankervis and Tristan Koch. So, but they've been through pit lane a fair few times. They might just have taken some fuel. They might have taken some tyres early on. But Daiso, currently the only driver in the top 5, at least, that hasn't taken tyres. But watch out for Greg Spencer as well. Later on in the race, he's got some fresh sets up his sleeve. So that could be useful for him. We didn't see a huge drop-off of pace as well between the old and the new tyres. So that's interesting to see as well, latterly in the stint. Of course, once we get to around about lap 100, that's when those tyres are really going to start screaming. And we might see, if we get a long green period, Dyson might really fall off the pace once we get to about lap 100. And that might be the point where he starts to struggle to mount and really fall off our pace.
Yeah, 100%. So that'll play out right in front of us. But it is also, if we do get an actual long green flag run, full tank, I think from memory, Carl, they're about 77 to 80 laps out of a tank. So that's going to be the magic number at around about the lap number 100 to be able to get home. All that to worry about as well. But tyre strategies, fuel strategies, of course, more cautions could be here for the taking, but it is Ed Foster will be leading us for the restart once again here tonight for round number 9 of the Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. And we are green once again. Edward Foster will lead us down to an Atari Autosport 1-2 into turns number 1 and 2 with Daniel Hedersheed second and Andrew Dyson on those older tyres holding third place there, and Michael Sherlock in the background as well. So nice steady start by all drivers, but Andrew Dyson looking to fight Daniel Hedersheed here around the outside into turn number 3 and 4 is going. You guys do that. I'm just going to flip off into the distance like that Daniel Hedersheed got clear of Andrew Dyson now. So we're green. We're 60 into 237. Long way to go here, Carl. Greg Spence, though, as you've got to keep one eye on him on board. Daniel Hedersheed. We've got to keep one eye on Greg Spencer. He's been the silent assassin. We spoke about him in the last green flag run when he was having a nice little battle with Adam Malone, Matthew Raymond, etc. But Greg Spencer there or thereabouts currently in the spot up 12 starting behind Stephen Williams.
A lot of damage though on Spencer's nose. To take a big whack early in the race. The Pinnacle Esports driver did take a big whack on the front of that car. So he is missing the front end of the car as Brendan Henderson makes a bit of a look underneath him. Will he get the SRM machine down underneath? The Mobile Breaker Mechanical sponsored SRM machine tries to get a move done on the inside, the 113, of course, their new signing. He tries to do it, but Adam Malone's thinking, well, you know, if you're going to battle, I'm going to battle as well. He's thinking about getting it done for 7-star, and he's got a good run on Henderson right now. Gets a good run on the outside. Runs down, and he's going to chop down in front of Henderson's nose and takes that position. Beautiful move there by Adam Malone. Goes into the corner a little bit hot. The Henderson goes a bit hot as well, and he's going to lose a position from that one too. Henderson's going to drop back. Greg Spencer's going to hold his spot in 7th, but Adam Malone gets past, and he's working his way up through the field now. Got Stevie Dub in front of him, so interesting little battle there in the mid-pack.
Yeah, and Adam Malone's on the freshest tyres of the cars at the moment. So he last come down to lane lap 5 tyres. So seeing Adam Malone currently slowly range up on the back at about 3/10 of a second at the moment. Quicker than Steve Williams in front of him. One on that as 5 there of Adam Ariel. He's up 5 positions on his starting position. So he's just behind Brent there, and Brent's got he's behind Brent and Adam Ariel, Stuart Patterson behind him as well. So nice battles here through the mid-pack as we're back to the leaders, Edward Foster, Daniel Hedersheed, and Andrew Dyson not letting these front guys get away.
Got Adam Ariel, of course, East Coast Motorsport, newest signing there for that team. One thing I'd say as well is Henderson looks like he's really starting to struggle on those tyres. The back of that car does not look stable at all. So I'm wondering if his rears are starting to fall off. Of course, I've noticed he's come down pit lane, I think, twice now, but I don't think he took tyres. I think it's fuel only. But it looks like the rear of that car is very, very squirrely at the moment. So it looks like those rears might be dropping off a little bit on the guys on the older tyres. Keep an eye out for that on Dyson. Hedersheed's doing a great job at the moment, keeping Dyson behind him. He's able to use bits of the track that Dyson wishes he could, because those older tyres won't have the bite that he needs to get underneath Hedersheed. Just won't have the ability to use as much track as the drivers on those slightly fresher tyres will be able to. They'll be able to place their cars in spots that Dyson will just be going, I really wish I had some fresh boots. I wish I had a bit of rubber on these tyres where I could actually put this car where I want it to. But it has spread out at the front. Dyson at the moment has a nice gap behind him to Skurlock, who's just sitting back there, not pushing too hard. Stevie Dub just behind him, who has got Adam Malone chasing him down. Malone catching to the back of Stevie Dub at the consistent pace at the moment. About a tenth quicker each lap, so he is catching the back of Stevie Dub. Meanwhile, Greg Spencer's become a bit of a cork in the bottle for 7th place. Henderson can't do much. He's trying his best to get past Spencer at the moment, but Spencer has caused a massive gap to form, around about 6 seconds between himself and so there is a huge gap forming, and this is helping Reuben Phelps, who we saw get involved in that accident. Oh, Reuben gets a big snap of oversteer in the mid-corner as he tries to go down low underneath and doesn't quite make it. But we've got a very big battle going on now for 7th place. It's, as I said, Greg Spencer is the cork in the bottle for this battle now, as Phelps makes the move on Henderson. He's going to stick it now. Reuben Phelps gets past up into P8.
Yeah, this is really good for Reuben. He's now down 2 spots on his starting position, but after some unfortunate incidents early, now moved his way up into the 8th position. So Adam Malone, you've got to keep one eye on him as JP just moves the cameras across to him. He is currently lapping at around about 0.3 of a second quicker than Stephen Williams in front of him. So Adam Malone, first of the cars on the fresh set of tyres. He's got a few four wounds there up the right-hand side of the Southern Stars Esports Racing entry, but Adam Malone, the quickest on, or not the quickest on track at the moment, Stephen Williams in front of him. It looks like he's going to get the job done here on the exit of turn number 3 and 4. And doesn't quite get the run there, but we'll see Adam Malone, I'd suggest, in the next lap or two, make the move on the 98 DPR simrigs.com entry of Stephen Williams for 5th place in this motor race cup.
Don't be surprised if Stevie Dub is a little bit more aggressive. We saw that door-to-door action between Malone and Williams beforehand. So stock car drivers are a bit like elephants. They have long memories. And when you go door-to-door with somebody, if you just touch them up a little bit, they will always remember that and hold it on until a point when they decide, yep, I'm going to use that to my advantage. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, Reuben Phelps has managed to get past Greg Spencer, and he is so much quicker. Within half a lap, he has gained a good second over Spencer. That just shows how much of a cork Spencer has been in that group, really, really costing him. I think Reuben is on the same tyres as Adam Malone, so those two are on the same strategy tyre-wise. So Reuben Phelps is on the fresh set of tyres. Here we see the replay of the move here of Reuben Phelps. He looks to dummy him around the outside, then takes the inside line. An absolutely beautiful pass there from Phelps in the 06 Goodyear-sponsored car, and absolutely sails down the inside and just starts storming away. Addison has also managed to get past Spencer, as well as Brad Fenley. So Spencer's now starting to lose positions, starting to struggle on those old tyres, that damaged car. He is starting to use those spots, but he has cost them an awful lot of time. If it remains green, they have fallen back an enormous amount. Meanwhile, Skurlock has started putting down his foot and started catching up to the leaders. So he's decided it's time to go. He's kept his tyres a little bit fresher, decided to keep his pack a little bit softer. Stevie Dub has managed to keep it in front of Malone as well. So those two still looking to battle it out, but Malone not quite catching Stevie Dub at the pace he was before. I'd suggest that the tyres may have just plateaued a little bit, or Malone is just letting them cool down a bit before he starts another assault.
Yeah, he could have drove a little bit hard up onto the back of Steve Williams there. Sitting right in behind there, so we'll see what happens with Adam Malone. But at the front here, I'm really interested with Andrew Dyson with this strategy. No tyres yet, but what I see, he's learnt from that first run where he was diamonding the corner. Now he's sitting that number 41 up on that groove and saying that he pulled it down a little bit early then. But he's really held on to the back of Edward Foster and Daniel Heddersheed in this run. So in regards to long-term pace and with tyres over the wall, if this runs green long into the end, Andrew Dyson is actually in a really, really good position here. So we'll see what happens. Got Michael Skurlock, as you can see in the background, currently lapping just that little bit quicker. He was about 2 tenths quicker than Andrew Dyson last time around. So as you mentioned,
Malone makes the move on to Stevie Dub now. Those two fighting it out in the background. Just see on the long shot, Malone has got a good run on the inside in the Southern Stars entry. The green machine of Stevie Dub on the outside in the DPR car. He is looking to get a good run into the corner. He's stuck on the outside at the moment, but is trying to hold it there. But those fresh tyres off Malone look to be working. He's able to run it nice and tight there. Get the job done, possibly. The damage is costing him time, though, I would say. I'd say Stevie Dub with that fresher car, that less damage on the car, is able to just get a little bit more speed down the straights. Malone is struggling down the straights. Stevie Dub is struggling in the corners, so it's sort of a battle of cornering and straight line speed, and it looks like straight line has paid off as Stevie Dub managed to keep the position for the meantime. But Malone is coming back at him. This is a great battle for P5 at the moment. Southern Stars versus DPR. Who is going to get this one? Malone's on the inside once again, but Stevie Dub is able to keep that car nice and high. He is working that outside line nicely, and of course, that outside line uses a little bit less tyre wear. Meanwhile, Adam Malone's going to be really tight there, and that's going to cost him. It's going to hurt his tyres more if he keeps that up, and eventually it's going to start overheating them, and he'll have to ease off again and then come back for another attack on Stevie Dub a little bit later on.
Yeah, Adam's going to have to be very careful here. He's down on horsepower, but what you can find as a driver, when you're that little bit down on horsepower in a straight line, you tend to overdrive the corners a little bit because you're not going as fast, so you let brake pressure on, etc., etc. So Adam will have to be very careful here in his spot, not to wear out those tyres. He is in a better spot, but managing that damage as well. So he could use Stephen Williams here to stay in that position. A long way to go in this race, 79 to 37. So they've currently got a gap of 5 seconds with Reuben Phelps at 7th. No pressure from behind at the moment. It's the time where they settle in, but Adam Malone still wanting to poke the number 3 nose there up the inside of Stephen Williams. I'll tell you what, Stevie Dub will be having deja vu from earlier on in the race. He goes, I can't get rid of this number 3 from inside of me. Last time they did this, unfortunately, there was a bit of hip and shoulder there by Adam Malone. He's trying to make the move. He does not want to let this one go over the 98 of Stephen Williams. Doing a great job there, side by side, out of the corner once again. We're going to see that horsepower of the 98 of Stephen Williams. Adam would be so frustrated in the 3 right now, Carl. There's not a lot he can do, and I tell you what, Stephen Williams not doing a lot wrong there on the outside either.
And one thing Adam's got to do as well is just not kind of got to settle in a little bit, because as these two are going to keep fighting, it's going to start costing time, and it's going to give Reuben Phelps the opportunity to catch up to them. So probably Adam's best choice right now would actually just be settle in a little bit, just keep behind Stevie Dub. Steve Williams has got some good pace. If they keep fighting like this, they're just going to start costing themselves time and start losing pace on the leaders and falling back. And if we get a long green period, that's going to be exactly what happens. Meanwhile, Skurlock is catching onto the back of Dyson. Dyson is still very much glued onto the back of Headesheet at the moment. Headesheet's doing a great job of just positioning the car so Dyson can't make the move. Dyson's sort of stuck there at the moment. He's trying to pressure Headesheet into making a little bit of a mistake, but again, these two have a vast amount of experience on racing, and they will. It's very tricky to try and force a driver that's got that experience into a mistake. It can happen, of course. No matter how many years you've been driving and no matter how much experience you have, pressure does always find its way to you, and eventually you will have a little bit of a crack here or there. But they are at the moment handling it very well. So great to see this race going on. We've got some good green flag racing at the moment. Exactly what we want to see here at New Hampshire for the custom paints and diecast Weekend Warrior Series, the Australian Stock Car Championship, of course, brought to you by JP SimShed and Practice as well. But great to see some green flag action going on at last. We had those little spat of cautions, but now it is back to full green flag racing. This is exactly what we want to see on the ovals. This is the kind of racing that we absolutely love, isn't it, Aidan?
100% there, Carl, and we're seeing some of the best NASCAR or oval races in Australia and New Zealand do it here on the Australian Stock Car Warriors. You've seen 4 of the best at the front at the moment, but this is good racing. This is just a little bit of cat and mouse at the moment. is settling in to the race. These guys are now, as I said earlier, this is their opportunity. They're going to see their strengths and weaknesses. I tell you what, Michael Skurlock, he might have backed off a little bit early in this stint, because now it's a run of 4 as they make their way down the back straight. But we haven't done it yet as Dyson just looks on the inside of Daniel Heddersheed. We haven't done it yet tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but we're on board with your leader, the 53 Atari Autosports entry of Edward Foster. Sit back for a couple of laps around the entry here on SimShed Broadcasting. Crank up the volume and listen to Edward Foster as the Nathan Motor. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A couple of laps on board with your current race leader in second place. Autosport of Edward Foster. But we're back with the spicy little battle at the moment. Norman Clark involved in this one, Carl. So Norman Clark, he has Greg Spencer in front of him, and that's James Service behind him as well. So this is a nice little battle pack. Scott in behind them as well as Matthew Raymond leads this pack. As
Kobe Jordan in front of him.
Kobe Jordan. Sorry, I got all confused there, Carl.
Yeah, it goes from Kobe Jordan down to Tristan Koch at the moment. This is a huge pack from 12th to 18th at the moment, and these guys are battling it out hard. Greg Spencer, as I said, he's become a bit of a cork in the bottle. He's just not quite got that speed, and I wonder how many ponies are stuck underneath that bonnet, because he is really struggling with the speed in that car. But of course, he's able to keep speed in the mid corner, so he's doing a great job at the moment defending. But the more they defend, it's the more time they lose. And speaking of defending and losing time, got Williams and Malone still battling it out, but we also got up the front, got Heddersheed and Dyson as they get past a lapped car. Dyson trying to make it work for himself, doesn't quite have it there, but that's giving Skurlock a bit of a run as well. So Skurley has got a good run right now. As we jump back, Stevie Dub has lost the position, has he? Malone has got his car almost in front, but you can see the horsepower difference as they go down the straight there. Malone on the inside. Stevie Dub just giving him a little bit of hip and shoulder there, just coming in a little bit, give him a little bit of a nudge, just saying, look, I remember what you did last time, mate. I'm here, and we are racing position. Where will that lapped car sit? They've got a lapped car in front of them. This could be the difference between 5th and 6th at the moment. Stevie Dub still running that high line at the stands.
Tell you what, neither of them want to let go here, Carl. It's side by side. This has been going side by side for about 5 or 10 minutes. They don't want to give up the position there, most definitely. Steve Williams hanging around that outside. Adam Malone getting very close to him there on entry, but Adam does not want to let this go. He's making that inside line work. He just does not have the horsepower. So great racing here by Stephen Williams and Adam Malone for 5th race.
Yeah, as we said, Malone's on the fresher tyres of these two by about 20 laps or so. But CVW's got that horsepower advantage, especially with that little bit less damage on the car. They get up to Brett Campbell now. And Malone might try and make a move as they go past Campbell. No, Campbell just drops down nicely. Lets these guys pass, does not get involved in the battle. Beautiful drive in there. Tristan Koch coming into pit lane. So Koch deciding to come down early. Interesting here. Got
As
some
is
others
Brett
coming in.
Campbell, I believe, too, Carl. Brett Campbell's come down.
Brett
to pit lane.
Campbell,
He
Mark
was
Johansson
driving
as well.
over.
I'd say Mark Johansson's coming in to pop that car behind the wall because he's got to lap 60-ish on his run. So I think he might be just deciding to bring it in and pop that car behind the wall. But Tristan Koch deciding to take a full service right here. Koch's been in pit lane 5 times now, so he's no stranger to pit road, but he's decided to come in now. So he only has one more stop to do in this race. So he's come in early. He'd only done about 30 odd laps that time round as well. So not a huge stint by him. Coming in early here could give him the opportunity to jump on those cars that he was following. So he's trying for the undercut advantage here. He's going to try and see if we go green from here on out, he could be in for a real opportunity. Now, the big question is how much longer can Dyson stick it out there? He is going to be at that point where he's going to be tires are going to be starting to get a little bit on the horn side. Of course, he did come in with the leaders, so he's got the same amount of fuel on board as those guys, but tire wise, it's going to be a little bit more dire for him. So he's just got to be careful that there's no tires that go poppity pop on that car.
Yeah, 100%. Good job so far in the third position. Michael dropped off the back of the pack again. So we did see Sherlock range up onto the back as they're trying to contend with some lap traffic here. That's Norman Clark and Greg Spencer on the outside line. Foster clears Greg Spencer down main straight, but now got header sheet in front of him, trying to make a move on header sheet into 1 and 2 here, Carl.
Yeah, header sheet just lost the rear of that car going down tight underneath those 2 lap cars. The rear end stepped out on him, and that gave Dyson the run there. Dyson getting a beautiful run out of the corner. He's just got a fantastic run here. He's able to make that high line work, and he might be on the older tyres, but he's still got some speed. But you can see there, header sheet just able to get the inside line, just able to run that car a little bit tighter. Of course, the tyres will be wearing by now for all of these drivers, so they would have plateaued, but the caution is out.
Caution.
Tristan Koch is into the wall as that brings out the caution. Fresh tyres on Tristan Koch, of course. Cold tyres as well, and it looks like that's exactly what's happened. He's gone into the corner. Back end has stepped out. There's not enough pressure in those tyres. He's gone in a bit too hard. Rear stepped out. Tyres are cold. He's tried to save it. He's locked up, and then up into the wall he goes. And that is a fortunate incident for Koch.
Tell you what there, Carl, he nearly saved it. He did well to keep it off that outside wall. He might have gave it a little bit of a kiss, but he would have reversed that car and kept going. So unlucky. And we saw for the 3rd time tonight, or 4th time, as Ed Foster comes in pit lane, we'll see all the leaders follow him, as we do. Daniel Hedderstreet, Andrew Dyson, Sherlock, Williams, and Malone, everyone coming into pit lane. But 3rd or 4th time tonight, we've seen drivers do that on fresh, older tyres, rotate the car on that lower line into 1 and 2, and Tristan very lucky there to keep that very big accident.
Yeah, very much so. We're joined up in the booth by Mr. Mark. Obviously, looks like car has gone behind the wall for the night now as you reached about 60 laps there.
Yeah, mate, that's over and done with. That last one where Brett Campbell lost it. I had nowhere to go, got at the back of him, just done some motor damage. I'm peaking at 130 mile an hour, so no use being a mobile chicane out there. Get the minimum laps done and park it and put it back in the trailer and come back for next week for Dover.
Yeah, look, unfortunate tonight. Obviously, Dover, a very different track, so hopefully things will go better there. But early doors for you, so time to put up the feet and enjoy a nice glass of your favourite beverage. And look, hopefully things will go better next week for you.
Oh yeah, look, I don't mind Dover. It's like another mile track. Um, it's totally different to here. It's high banks. So you can get some good grip there. You know, three lines around there, high, middle, and low. Just don't want to see too many three wide early in the race. But hey, we'll go there next week with a fresh car and see what we can do while you guys are up here in the box.
That's it. Look, three wide Dover on the concrete can be a bit tricky, especially on cold tyres. We've seen that many times. It is one of those tracks that really can catch out the people, especially in the early stages of the race. So hopefully we don't. Hopefully we're not going to see too many people trying that too early.
Nah, look, the guys should know by now these things. Um, so yeah, I don't think we will. I think it'll be a good race next week if the Ants car race was anything to go by, these boys will put on another good show. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'd rather not talk about the
Yeah,
it's-
talking about the Anscart race with Aiden in the booth. I think we should just circle, just move past that a little bit. But we
Didn't
did
happen.
see, yeah, but that's one of the big things you do see at Dover, of course, because the walls are so close together there. If a car loses it on the exit of the corner, there's not much space to get past the car on the inside or a car that's sideways, and that can cause some big accidents, unfortunately.
Yeah, if guys spin here and get sideways, as you've seen, there's two lanes to get around them, either low or high. But at Dover, there's just no room.
Very much so. We've got up at the front, it is Maddie Ray in the lead, I believe. With Brad Allison on the inside. Those two sticking it out there. So those and Brad Finley not coming into pit lane. They decided not to stop. They're trying to do quite a different strategy here. As Brad Allison leads away in the 0-3, gets a nice restart there. Finley on the inside. Just got to be careful on these older tyres. As we said, the old tyres tend to warm up a little bit quicker, so they'll have heat in the tyres quite quickly. But the guys on the fresh tyres will have much better grip. So it's just, you've got to be careful on the cold tyres not to lose the car, of course. But the fresh tyres should be able to just go down on that low line and get past the cars quite easily. As all
And looking at Ed, sorry to cut you off there, Carl. Looking at Edward Foster on that restart, he's now moved his way up into the first position. He came through pit lane under that caution, but with his stationary time, it doesn't look like he took tyres either. So the tyre strategy's coming out, but Edward Foster very fast here off the restart. Daniel Heddersheed and Dyson to the front three, back to the front very early on this restart.
I am pretty. He did take tyres.
He did take
Yeah, he took tyres. I was watching, and he did take tyres, and also stationary time. He was 14.7. So yeah,
He may have just taken the outside tyres.
no, took all four.
They did take all four. Yeah, it's a sensible move.
Oh, Dyson into the wall. Dyson just capped the wall very slightly. If these things had wing mirrors, he would have knocked off the right one there for sure.
The first mistake we've seen from Andrew Dyson tonight is here's a big battle pack. That's Kobe Jordan, I believe, into the back of Brad Allison. We're going to go 4 wide, nearly through 3 and 4. Matthew Raymond on the outside there doesn't want a part of this as he gets loose out of 4. Did well to hold that. And we've got a custom paid Diecast car coming up the inside as well. Not sure whether that's the number 8 Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie.
So, tell you what, that got a bit spicy there for a couple of corners there, gentlemen.
Did indeed. Look, you don't often see cars with 4 wheels get a tank slapper. Of course, the Loudon Classic is held here for the two-wheel motorsport variety here at New Hampshire, and Maddie really very on him there, but managed to save it.
Yeah, 100% he did. As we've got a lap car here in front of Ed Foster. That's the 550 of Tristan Koch. So he's going another lap down. So he took that bold strategy there, hitting at a different time to the rest. So now he's gone 3 laps down rather, Tristan Koch in the 550. Still Michael Spurlock in 4th there. Reuben Phelps, though, your championship leader, he's moved his way up into 5th position now after having some unfortunate incidents early. So Reuben Phelps currently lapping at the same time roughly as the leaders. So your current championship leader doing a great job there in fifth spot as Andrew Dyson's really trying to get the job done on Daniel Hedersheed here as he pokes the 041 down the inside of the 035. Is he going to get the job done out of turn number 4? He's going to not have the draft as Daniel Hedersheed will down the main straight here behind his teammate Edward Foster, but Andrew Dyson diving really hard into 1 and 2, trying to clear Hedersheed before they make their way down on to the back straight. It looks like he's going to get that one done out of 2, and Andrew Dyson now up into second place, looking to get back that race lead that he had early on over Edward Foster in the 53. So the DPR 041 entry of Andrew Dyson making his way forward now as we're 110 into 237.
You might be able to answer this one for me, Mark. Adam Malone, has he reached his incident limit and have to do a penalty drive-through, or come in for a penalty because he's coming to pit lane? I saw him make contact with Brad Allison the lap prior, so I'm wondering if he had to take a penalty there.
Yeah, quite possibly could have. It's the first penalty, the first drive-throughs at 12x, mate, and then 17, and then you DQ'd at 22x. So quite possible. I know over the radio he's said a few times that he's touched the ball, and so very well could have.
Yeah, it looks because he came in. I think he was stationary, so he might have just had to get some repairs done. But yeah, he's lost an awful lot of laps. We saw Malone up high and speeded up earlier on, but that's really cost him. Meanwhile, Dyson is very, very much on the back of Foster at the moment. With those fresh tyres on, Dyson has come back alive.
Yeah, definitely. We saw this when the long green flag run last time. Andrew Dyson's definitely learnt from those early stages of this race where he was leading for the first, well, I'd say once we got rid of the first couple of cautions, he was then leading that first extended green flag run, and he's changed his line, and that's really helped the tyres. He ran the tyres longer than anyone else on the racetrack across those first cautions. He didn't lose the gap to the lead, and now that we've seen it, he's taken some tyres and he's up there with the leader, Edward Foster. So it's now game on at the front, both through pit lane on lap 100, as was Daniel Hedersheed and Michael Skurlock, Reuben Phelps, even up down to your top 7 of Stuart Patterson. But Andrew Dyson finding a lot of pace here in the 041. He's a smart cookie. He's getting his head around it, but he's got the godfather in front of him, the Surrey Autosports 53 of Edward Foster, second place in the championship. He's not going to let this one go easy, but Ed also knows we're only 114 into 237. The race hasn't even started yet, so a long way to go, as does Michael Skurlock back there in the 4th position. And your championship leader back there in 5th, Reuben Phelps. He's currently lapping about 6 tenths slower than the leaders at the moment. So it is a 2-car breakaway now, as they've got about half a second lead over Daniel Hedersheed. Daniel lapping around about the same. He's sitting about half a second off this lead, but Andrew Dyson's probably not going to want to sit in behind Ed Foster, I'd suggest, here for too long. He'll want to show his cards and say, hey, I'm quicker than you, Ed. Just for a little bit later, if they do have to race each other side by side, a little bit of game there. But Daniel Hedersheed just sitting in behind there waiting. So it's been the story of the night. It's been Foster, Hedersheed and Dyson, your top 3. Michael Skurlock has just been sitting there in a waiting brief. Not sure whether Michael's struggling at all tonight, Skurly, or whether he's just sitting there and just waiting. He knows it's a long race. So very smart man, Michael Skurlock as well, Carl. So a lot to play out yet, but I'm sure we're going to see Dyson possibly make a move for the lead of this motor race coming lap.
It seems to me, boys, that Ed's got the cover of Andrew over in 3 and 4. But Andrew closes right up in 1 and 2, and he just can't get the car down low enough to get under him.
Yeah, we saw that in the first run, Mark, when you were still behind the wheel. They were taking very different lines. Andrew Dyson was more diamonding the corner, trying to straighten the car up as much as he could coming out of the turns, whereas Ed was sort of running that seam and opening up the corners. And we saw early on that that didn't work for Dyson, as we saw Ed Foster make the move. But once we went through that pit stop and Dyson didn't take tyres, it's like he'd learned, and he ran on the older tyres. So different driving techniques, different driving lines from everyone as well. We also saw on that first run that Michael Sherlock was about this far behind and within about 10 laps dragged right up onto the back. So how people are playing out this race, they would obviously now get a little bit of an indication on how their tyre wear is playing out after they've taken tyres, albeit a couple of cautions early. I think Dyson has the biggest understanding on how his tyres would be after running the longest, but they'd have an idea. So this is where they would be positioning their cars into a fuel and tyre position to be in the best possible tyre for the longest period of time, or the shortest period of time at the end of this race, if we do go green or even if it does go yellow. So strategy here, what the undercut's going to be at the moment, where they're currently lapping at about 0.6 of a second slower than their best. So as this stint goes on, we're probably going to see a lap time difference of about a second to new tyres to your older tyres. So then we bring in the undercut as well. So we've got about that 80 lap of fuel, I believe, that you can get out of a tank. So if we were to do a green flag to the end, you're looking at around about the lap 107 to be the critical lap. But no doubt, as we see in these races, safety cars, everything is going to play a massive part in that one. But they're all strategies to keep an eye out, ladies and gentlemen.
Dyson makes the
does make
move.
the move.
Dyson absolutely pounced on Foster, caught him napping going into the corner. Foster was just absolutely caught off guard, and Dyson just pounced there. Beautiful, beautiful pass by Mr. Dyson in the 041. The DPR car just absolutely caught Foster napping, and that's not an easy thing to do because Ed is very, very good at keeping that car in a defensive position. But Dyson absolutely catching Foster in the right moment. He sort of lured him into a false sense of security, I think, and then absolutely took the attack at the right moment. Fantastic pass there by Dyson, and he is pulling out a bit of a gap now as well. Said before as well, he'll have a bit more of an understanding of tyres. To those that are not familiar with how iRacing works, and how it sort of affects it, is when you come into pit lane, of course, you don't get live tyre information on how degradation works. So when you come into pit lane, you can actually see how much you've used your tyres, of course. But you don't see that until you take your stop, until those tyres come off. So you don't get that information until you take that pit stop. And of course, Dyson will now know how much he needs to save or how little he doesn't need to save. And it looks like the case is you don't need to save at all because Dyson is pulling out one heck of a lead right now.
Yeah, exactly right, Carl. And that move on that Dyson did make on Edward Foster, it was sitting in behind him. He'd done that the previous 10 or so laps, and then probably Ed was just sitting there going, okay, he's going to follow me around for a little bit. His first opportunity, just moved that car left at the blink of an eye under braking and went really deep. So he got the job done as we go back to a replay at the moment. So we'll see the move here on Ed Foster. So he'll just stay Dyson just in the mirror. Ed, he's just positioning his car a little bit on the left-hand side. Now he pops out and just drives really deep under brakes. He's going to prop through the corner a little bit, but he got the job done. He was clear early. So tyre strategy, tyre wear on the 041 definitely playing out as I thought it may have as we go back to the live action, as he's now got 0.6 of a second over Ed Foster at the front. He's really trying to stretch his legs now here in the 041. He's got the pace on, and Michael Sherlock in the background too, Carl. He's closed the gap on Daniel Heddersheet over the last couple of laps. He's got that down to under a second, and that's dropping as I can see on the live timing right now. So Michael Sherlock's not out of this one. We're 128 or 126 rather into 237. So strategy's playing out once again. Dyson, though, you can see the differences down there on the bottom, lap per lap for the last 5 laps. He's been consistently that tenth or two quicker than Edward Foster, and now they're coming up on lap traffic. So that's going to help Andrew Dyson if he wants to try and extend his legs at the front here. So it looks like the 041 DPRSimrigs.com entry of Andrew Dyson has hit the go button here and trying to extend his lead and really set his race up now. He can see the window. He'll know the magic window to get to the end. He knows he can hold his tyres over a long green flag run. Now we'll see whether the strategy plays out, as all the lap cars are playing very nicely at the moment. We can see there Dyson to Foster against. That's the other way around. It looked like that Foster actually took a little bit out of Dyson last lap around, but that would have been the lap traffic. But Carl, Andrew Dyson, he's pushed the loud pedal at the front of this one, 128 to 237.
Because he gets a big snap of oversteer on the exit of the corner there, Doris. So maybe just getting a bit too much heat in the rear of the tyres. Brett Campbell, unfortunately, out of this race. Mechanical issues for him in sim racing. We call mechanical issues when something goes wrong with the computer or the internet. Unfortunately, on his side of things, it is an internet issue. So we're mechanical DNF for Brett Campbell tonight, sadly. That's him out of this race. But Dyson, has he got a bit too much heat in the tyres? Pushing it a bit too hard, because he it does look like that rear end's just stepping out a little tiny bit, but he is pulling out a gap ahead of Foster at the moment. He pulled out around about a tenth of a second last lap round, so he's got some good speed on him. Heddershey just sitting in behind Foster at the moment, just not pushing too hard. And then, as you said, Skirley is just catching up to this group as well. He's sitting there, not worried too much about that. A man in no man's land, Phelps fifth at the moment. He's currently sitting there, just having a bit of a race on his own, a bit lonely in that position. He's got about a 10-second gap to Skeleton and about a 10-second gap back to Kobe Jordan, who's just ahead of Patterson in 7th position. About a second between those two cars. And Matty Ray in 8th, having, as always, a good run. It's currently between him and Patterson, who's got the most positions gained. 13 positions for both of those drivers at the moment. Norman Clark having a good recovery. We saw him have a couple of early moments in this race and bring out the yellow. But he's currently sitting in 9th, so he's managed to work his way back up through the field. And then it's Stevie Dub, the mean green DPR machine, sitting in the 10 currently as it stands. But watch out at the front. This race is definitely not over. Dyson has pulled out a nice lead at the front, but just get the feeling that maybe Foster, Heddershide and Skurlock just sitting there and just easing off a little bit, not pushing too hard this early. If we get a long green stint here, this could pay off for them. Of course, will we see them come in? Well, of course, it is a risky move to make, just in case that caution flag does fly.
Yeah, exactly right. And I was just about to mention before you brought it up, then we've got cautions to throw in the mix. So there's a lot of the storybook to be written here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Still 104 laps to go. But Andrew Dyson doing Dyson things off in the front. But looks like Norman Clark, last lap around, got the move done on Matthew Raymond. So Norman Clark now moved up into the 8th position in the 09 Atari Autosport entry. Matty Raymond, though, he's got a mirror full of Stephen Williams in the background as well. That's a lap car in behind them, or is that Brad Allison? By the looks of that as well. My live timing showing up quickly, so I'll leave that one alone. But Norman Clark showing a little bit more pace now, slowly stretching his legs on Matthew Raymond as we're on board there. The 197 of Stuart Patterson. This is the battle for 6 and 7. Kobe Jordan just in front of Stuart Patterson as well. So, yeah, a lot to be written in this story tonight yet. 134 into 237. Like that gap in front too has sort of stagnated a little bit. So you did mention, though, Andrew Dyson, do you think he's using the rears too much? You did mention earlier in the broadcast tonight about Andrew Dyson's road racing experience. Is one that, I tell you what, if he's car control, he can keep the tyres under him, sliding the car. He's won that to it. I tell you what, he's a master at doing it. I've no idea how he does it. But, he's currently leading and he's extending the gap. This battle here between Kobe Jordan and Stuart Patterson for the 6th and 7th position. Stuart Patterson currently the biggest gainer here tonight.
We've got a good battle going on just in front of Dyson at the moment. Is his teammate of Stevie Dub against Matty Ray at the moment. Dyson looking to go in the middle between those two cars. Those two battling it out for position. Matty Ray just does a nice move there just to let Dyson get through. But he's fighting out the moment. Stevie Dub get through there, passing Matty Ray 15-9. Stevie Dub, very experienced driver, of course, himself and both veterans in the Oval Leagues of Australia. Matty Ray celebrating his 200th start for the AEST series this week as well, so he's done a fantastic job. Stevie Dub, I think, celebrated that a long time ago, but they have got a vast amount of experience between them and they know what they're doing. Wins and championships, both of them hold. But at the moment, Foster is losing a little bit of time as he's getting past those lap cars. Dyson has a good 1.5 second lead. But yeah, exactly. So Dyson has got that vast array of road racing experience. He is an absolute freak on road tracks, and he is so quick and so good at handling a car. As I said earlier on, he's able to save a car when it goes out of control, and you think there's no way he can save that, and then all of a sudden he'll get back on the car and get it straight again. Um, Having raced Dyson many times in GT3s and in NASCARs, both trucks, Xfinity, and in Cup cars, I can say it is it's I've never raced him on the lead lap. It is always as he's passing me, going down a lap whenever I see him on track, generally.
Yeah, it's definitely like that for me most nights in the office that I'm racing against Andrew Dyson as well. I have had some good battles with him. I can't say I've beaten
Yeah.
him.
On the ovals, I've had some battles with Daiso, side by side and positions, but on the once it gets to a track that goes left and right, it's a very different story indeed.
Yeah, and Andrew Dyson only about a year and a half ago, I believe, come across the oval scene. He must have done some before, but took him a little while to get his feet. But him and the simrigs.com DPR guys did come across. Of course, we know Steve Williams is the stalwart of oval racing, but once they came across and got their head around it, they were very quick. But the thing I find about Dyso as we're on board with him is he's so precise. Every lap is exactly the same. He's really, really good at that, extracting most longest period of time out of the race car. So very, very quick on very, very old stuff. So we're seeing that at the moment as he's extending the lead now to nearly 2 seconds over Edward Foster. And Edward Foster, he's no mug, second in the championship, the reigning two-time car champion as well. So he's no mug in second spot. And Daniel Heddersheet as well in third place, coming off a couple of decent wins this season. Quite new to the oval as well. I think I say quite new, but probably been doing it for 12 months.
Heddersheet and Dyson both pretty much came to the oval side at the same time, and Heddersheet actually got a win in his debut on the ovals, I think. So
Right.
he is very quick and he is very good at doing it. Well, at least in the Cup series, he had raced a few times in the Xfinity, I think, in the trucks. But both Dyson and Heddersheet both relatively new to oval racing in that respect, but the road racing experience they have has really paid off, and they're just able to wear the tires in a slightly different way. They drive slightly differently, and it's helped them out a little bit. And similar to how when Ambrose went over to NASCAR, and slightly different driving style, and it helped him out on some tracks. And he just had some great speed on, especially the short track racing, where a bit of braking and a little bit more tire management comes into it. The sort of road racing experience really comes to pay off.
Yeah, exactly right. And then they transition it or transform it across to an oval. And for anyone watching here on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting, we can say it. We've said it before. We'll say it till we're black and blue in the face. You might think it's just coming here, turning left. There's a lot more that goes on. Obviously, managing these NASCAR races, and it's a long night at the office. Already an hour and 31 in, and 144 into 237. So concentration is a big thing as well. It's very hard to sit there for several hours trying to concentrate, getting everything right. So a lot harder than what you think. A lot of strategy, etc. They do have cautions to contend with as well. Where in a lot of road racing through the iRacing platform, unless you league racing, etc., where they have a lot of it's just racing. So a lot of different things and here for the drivers, but currently going well still. Andrew Dyson, Edward Foster, and Daniel Heddersheet. But Michael Skurlock now ranging up onto the back of Daniel Heddersheet as they just put Norman Clark a lap down. So Michael Skurlock showing a little bit more pace now. Last lap around, he pulled 2 tenths out of the lead from Daniel Heddersheet. He's now visibly ranging right up onto the back and going to be looking at possibly making a move for third place in this motor race shortly.
I can tell you boys, I'll just like a lot of the guys going in turn 200 point marker, up down the fourth there. off the burn. Then when you come out it, put the car straight, you back up and drive towards the road. So there's a lot of work going on inside the car.
And you've got to be
And that,
careful as well when you drop down into. Oh, who's that in the background? Going around, we're going to get. Are we going to get a caution? No, we're not. Adam Malone having a big moment off the corner. I saw him have a moment actually off turn 4, but turn 2, he had an even bigger moment, losing it in the mid corner, and that's lost the whole front end of that Southern Stars car. And I think he's probably going to have to come into pit lane.
yeah, that's not good for Adam Malone. A night that started so positive inside the top 5 has not been the best hour for the number 3 Southern Stars Esports Racing entry. Adam Malone, he's going to have a lot of damage off that, but it is still Dyson leading the way. Brad Fenley's had an incident I've seen as well in my screen. It's off here at the moment.
Oh, big slide there for Daiso.
Yeah, big slide for Daiso. I was just looking at something else. My apologies, but I'll tell you what, the tyre's definitely heating up here, Andrew Dyson. That gap has come down just ever so slightly to Ed Foster, so he might be finding the same thing he found earlier in this race, but we'll just keep an eye on that. But lap traffic definitely going to play a big part. 149 into 237. Last down pit lane, lap 100. We're looking at about 80 laps. So anytime from now, we can get to the end on fuel, but they're going to run as long as they can, I would suggest, and be on those fresh tyres and be as quick as they can at the end. So fuel's going to play a part in this, but Andrew Dyson, Ed Foster, Header Sheet, Skurlock and Phelps, your 5 at the moment, all on the same strategy. Fuel rise last through pit lane on lap 100, Carl. So it's a bit of a tyre wear race now. Who's going to blink first? Who's going to get the undercut and want to lead front, hold on? But we'll see. Something's happened to Foster, Carl, in my ear, so I'll let you take over there.
Foster just lost a lot of time as he's trying to get through traffic. This battle in traffic. Big moment. Dyson just having a big slide. But yeah, Foster's lost a lot of time as well as Header Sheet, and that's really cost him a lot of time. Skurlock is right on the back of Header Sheet at the moment. It looks like the way the track's rubbered in a little bit is catching Dyson out a little bit. It's those rear tyres, I think, have just got a little bit too hot for him, and he's possibly got a little bit too much heat in those rears. As people are coming in pit lane, we've got Stevie Dub, Maddie Ray in pit lane. They've decided to come in. I saw Brad Allison pitting the lap before. So don't be surprised if we see the leaders coming in the next lap or two.
Yeah, will they follow suit? Those drivers were a lap down, but that will all play itself out when we see the leaders come through pit lane. So that is the interesting part. When is Andrew Dyson going to blink? He's currently still lapping about a tenth to 2 tenths a second quicker than Ed Foster. So as though it looks like he's driving on the edge, just keeping that 41 under him, 041 under him. He's still gaining time or putting time on Ed Foster in second place, all while navigating around the lap traffic as he's got another car in front of him now. But yes, the story of the night, Carl, when are the leaders going to pit? We're going to see the drivers that did come into pit lane. I think we mentioned Steve Williams and Matty Raymond. They might look a couple of laps down now, but once we go through the green flag pit stops with the undercut, that will drag them up to the leaders just ever so slightly, but a lot to play out yet as the lead now goes out to 3.5 seconds over Edward Foster. But Daniel Heddersheet and Michael Skurlock still having a good battle as the 197 there of Stuart Patterson is up into 8th. So he's had a good night tonight. Started out of 20th. He's up in 8th. So a good night by the 197 Stuart Peterson, who has Brent Henderson further 20 seconds behind him.
Yeah, that's it. It's obviously with these cars coming in for fresh boots, I don't want to stick it out there a little bit just in case somebody does make a mistake. As Dyson makes another mistake in the mid corner, he runs wide. It looks like he's starting to struggle with that car. I just wanted to touch back a little bit on what you were talking about earlier as well about the concentration and how hard it is to race on ovals, to switch over. Locked on iRacing, of course, podcast, the Australian iRacing series, they cover a lot of the series, ANSCAR, things like that. Hopefully getting the coverage of other things in the future for other series, but a lot of their drivers sort of decided to come into the oval side when obviously we started talking about it and they started covering Anne's car. And they jumped in and they were just shocked at how hard it was. They were expecting an easy run, and sort of didn't realize just how hard it is to race on ovals. And it caught them by a big surprise. And they really got caught out by just how tricky it is to race on ovals, just how much effort goes in. And especially on a track like New Hampshire, where you really do need to work on your lifting off, your turning. There's a lot more effort involved, and it is like, oh, who's that going across the grass in the background? There's an awful lot more effort involved than just driving and turning left, as you say. It is an awfully hard thing to do, and but it's not easy at all. A lot of these boys make it look easy on the broadcast, but it definitely isn't. As a header sheet gets big moment out of the corner, coming down the start finish straight, going to give Skurlock the opportunity. A header sheet just on the inside of one of a lap car there of Tristan Koch. And it really caught him out. And I think Jamie Nankervis is just sitting in behind them at the moment. He's on fresh boots, so he's going to start catching up quickly. This is where, because you've got lap cars now that are on fresh boots, much faster than the leaders. They are going to be unlapping themselves. You've got the leaders who are on old boots now, really struggling up the front. And this can really change things up. And this is where a caution can definitely come out. Meanwhile, Dyson has built a 5-second lead over Foster. He is on an absolute charge at the moment. But this is where we're most likely going to get a caution, if a caution is to come, as people work their way through. Of course, in oval racing as well, there are no such things as blue flag. Lap cars do not have to get out of the way of the leaders, and they can absolutely race for position. It is a race for position. Because you're racing to keep on the lead lap, and you can absolutely race those cars. As Stevie Dub gets a big slide in the mid corner, manages to save it, but that is exactly what I'm talking about. These guys on the fresher tyres, they just have to be careful. Stevie Dub, that experience showing, saves that car, but he lost a lot of time there, and that will have really put a lot of heat in the rear tyres. And the leaders were coming up to pass him as well, so that would have slowed them down even more. Foster losing about a second on that lap.
Yeah, and you can see right here, Carl, with the fresh tyres, Jamie Nankervis, a car lap down just in front of this battle here. He's just in behind Ed Foster, as you can see there. He just made the move on the current second, third and fourth place getters in the race so far, Daniel Hedersheet and Michael Skurlock. So Jamie Nankervis, this is the difference lap, fresh tyres. He's going to make the move up the inside of the SRM car there, and he's probably going to get 2 for the price of 1 here through 3 and 4, as he takes not position but takes track position over your second place getter Ed Foster. So there's a prime example of fresh tyres right there for you, Carl, as you're talking about that. So very good example. Greg Spencer still lap car. He's still circulating there, trying to get some points tonight. He's actually still in the top 10, Carl, too. So Greg doing a great job in a very wounded car tonight. But Ed Foster at the moment, that gap between himself and your leader has gone out 3 seconds. Ed Foster's now lapping on average about 3 or 4 tenths lower a lap than the leader, as we're on board with the Goodyear Auto Care car. We're watching the 0-6 there. Reuben Phelps, he's back in 5th place, so still holding down 5th place in this race. We've ticked over 163 into 237. So your championship leader and your second place in the championship are 5th and 2nd on the track respectively. So good drive by both of those drivers. Ed Foster, if it stayed like this till the end, would gain a couple of points on Reuben. But after the night that Reuben started with tonight, Carl and Mark, I tell you what, he'll be happy sitting in 5th at the moment. It was a night that could have ended very, very early.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I was talking to Reuben through the week about championship hopes and everything. He's now gone into kind of sort of conservation mode. He just wants to make sure he finishes the race in the top 10, because there's only 3 points between first and second, and then for every position thereafter, it only drops by a point. So as long as Reuben can make sure he stays within those couple of points of edge, and it's only going to be closing very, very slowly on the championship season.
Yeah, 100%. And it also, we got bonus points at play a part in it as well. Post-race penalties as well that can be applied. So many different things. So all the results we do see here are provisional, but so many different things to play out. We're round 9 into the season, still early days. Michael Spurlock is now right on the back of Daniel Hedersheed into 1 and 2. He's sitting there. He's not wanting to make the move at the moment, but Michael Spurlock, he's holding on to the back of Daniel Hedersheed. He's about a second and a half off the back of his teammate Edward Foster in second place. But they've got Greg Spencer, who's currently in 9th position, just a lap down, just in front of them as well. So a little bit of lap traffic for them to contend with. 166 into 237. It is still Andrew Dyson down the road at the moment, 7 seconds rather down the road over Edward Foster, Daniel Hedersheed, Michael Spurlock, and Reuben Phelps. At the moment, they're the only 5 on the lead lap, but we've had drivers down pit lane under green where they've lost the lead lap. So we still haven't seen your leader of Andrew Dyson or your top 5 come into pit lane for what will be their last pit stop tonight. They were last down pit lane, lap 100. We're now into lap 168. They would only have about 10 to 12 laps of fuel left on board, I'd suggest. So if they're running out the tank, we'll see these leaders come down pit lane in the next 10 or so laps. But Michael Spurlock looking very racy in behind Daniel Hedersheed. This is the fight for 3rd place. He's really want to try and get this one done, but Mark Skirley's been sitting in 4th all race. He's now trying to make his way to fight onto the bottom step of the podium. So Michael Spurlock doing Michael Spurlock things and pointing himself at the front late in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Skirley will just sit there and late entry in the pit lane there by Daniel. Michael will just sit there and nibble at your heels, wait for you to make a mistake, and once you've made that mistake, he'll pounce on you real quick.
Yeah, Matthew Raymond there pouncing on Michael Spurlock, almost getting into the back of Daniel Hedersheed, as Daniel Hedersheed, the first of the leaders now to blink and come into pit lane. So he's going to go for the undercut on Ed Foster, possibly his teammate. We'll see when Edward decides to come into pit lane. Spurlock's going for the overcut the other way around. We'll see how that plays out. But Reuben Phelps also staying out as well. So only 4 of the leaders yet come through pit lane, serve their last pit stop. We still do have Norman Park, Stuart Patterson that can't make to the end either. So they'll have to come through pit lane again. Reuben Phelps now, your 4th place position, about to go a lap down to the race leader. That's how big of a margin he's got. He's got almost 1/3 of the racetrack. So that's Andrew Dyson in the 041, your current race leader, putting a lap on your current championship leader and 4th place in this motor race, the 06 to Reuben Phelps. The gentleman, I tell you what, Andrew Dyson, he's quick at the front. He's now lapped everyone up until the 4th place.
He's on an absolute flyer at the moment, guys. So he is in. He's been just driving away with things recently. He's been in a really, really good position and just driving so well. But one thing to look out for right now is you can see his teammate Stevie Dubb. He's coming up behind him right now in the green flavoured DPR machine. And that's the difference that the fresh tyres make. So right now, Daniel Hedersheed is going to be building a nice gap and will be getting to a point where he will be able to pass Dyson with the undercut. He's currently got to make up about 3 seconds, and then he'll be past Andrew Dyson. But we saw that when Hedersheed came into pit lane, he was around about 8 to 9 seconds down. So he's already got that gap back, and now he is getting to a point where he will soon pass him.
Well, we can already see it now, Carl. I'm just looking at the relatives as they make their way across the start-finish line. Last lap around, your current leader, who's now got Damien Curvis trying to go another lap off from Andrew Dyson. Last time around, Dyson did a 32.3. Daniel Hedersheed a 31.1. Now Dyson's just on a 32.6. I'd expect Daniel Hedersheed to be in the low 31s. And there we go, a 31.13. So now Daniel Hedersheed pulling about 1 to 1.34 seconds a lap out of Andrew Dyson. So that's only got to happen for another 3 or 4 laps, and we will see Daniel Hedersheed take the lead of this race if we do see the green flag pit stops from Dyson, Edward Foster, and Michael Spurlock. So, but that's going to put him in a really, really sitting duck position late on in the race. But as we've seen, his long run pace has not been that bad. So, interesting there. Daniel Heddersheed taken the opportunity. Reuben Phelps hasn't come in yet. So, bold strategy, but it's one that I'd be willing to play if I was the likes of Daniel Heddersheed. He did have Michael Spurlock all over the back of him. It got him out of that battle, got him a bit of fresh air, and might stand to see what happens. But it still is Andrew Dyson leading the way. I would strongly suggest we're looking at about the next 3 or 4 laps. We're going to see the last of the leaders blink and come down pit lane, Carl. So strategy, strategy, strategy. Whose car would you rather be in, Andrew Dyson's or Daniel Heddersheed?
I would say I would rather be. I'd rather not be in either of their cars because I would not want to be leading the race because I would just end up wrecking the car out of nervousness. But if I could be in a car and had the ability, it would be Dyson's car because he's got an extra set of tires up his sleeve, but also he's going to be coming in, getting a fresh set of boots on that car for the end of the race, and he will be able to pass those guys without too much difficulty, I would say. Of course, if the caution flag flies and he stops a lap before, say, Foster, that could really cost him. So there is still a lot at play here. If you stop and a caution comes out, everything can be lost. But I think Dyson's just going to keep it out there until the tank is pretty much dry, just in case of that. So he's protecting himself from the caution. So he's just going to keep it out there until that tank is nothing but fumes. And I'd say that Skurlock and Foster are going to do exactly the same thing here.
We go
the caution
caution.
comes flag. The caution flag
There we
comes out.
go.
Exactly what I was talking about.
So Andrew Dyson, Edward Foster, and Michael Spurlock will be licking their lips as we go back to the replay.
Adam Ariel, unfortunately, for East Coast Motorsports, has just lost it coming out of turn 4, back end of the car. Sorry, coming out of turn 4 it was, sorry. He has
a little bit early on the gas there, but it looks a bit Carl, sorry to jump. So easy to do off 4 and hit up the rears. Down the side wall.
Exactly, he's just lit it up a little bit too much. He tried to correct it. He was steering very hard to the right, which is not something you do very often when you're turning left all the time. But that car did not work out for it. It didn't save it just in time, so that really, really hurt him.
Yeah, it's not ideal for Adam there, but he was already a couple of laps down, so he'll go in and get some repairs and hopefully get that 55 back out there as we see Andrew Dyson come into pit lane. Obviously, Daniel Heddersheed there stays out, so the front 3 on the racetrack will go into pit lane now as they are, and we're about to reset and go green in a couple of laps. What'll be a 50 lap run to the finish? Oh.
Hassan and Phelps both got really lucky with that. They were a lap down, of course, but actually Phelps wasn't a lap down. Phelps is on the lead lap, I think. So it worked out very well. Patterson will be the lucky dog, but they hadn't stopped yet, so that's going to be really nice for them. Yeah. Racing pit lane. Meanwhile, Dyson's going to get away nice and cleanly here. He had a big gap from Foster, as there were quite a few lap cars between them. Foster comes out behind Dyson. With Skurlock behind them.
And don't be surprised here, Carl, sorry to cut you off, is you mentioned Reuben Phelps. He is on the lead lap, but he was a lap down. He didn't come in under this caution. So he was last through pit lane on lap 100. So he's still going to have to go in again.
I'd say he'll come in this time round.
Yeah.
He just stayed out there just so he didn't lose a lap. Sort of similar to the guys that are a lap down. Of course, the lap cars have to stop a lap after the leaders, of course. So he's just coming now just so he doesn't lose that lap. So he keeps on the lead lap.
That's going to be good for Reuben, though, as you said. That's going to put him on the lead lap. He might lose 1 or 2 positions in pit lane. There's a couple other drivers lap down further back, but it's going to put him on a fresh set of rubber, fresh tyres, and he's going to be up there to be able to give what's going to be a nice, well, we say short up dash at the end, but it's not a full tank of fuel. So we're going to see a lot harder driving here by the drivers and have a lot of 2-wide action as this is going to be the battle for the motor race.
Yeah, I tell you what, Foster on the old comms, he's just talking to Dyson and just saying he just impressed by Dyson's speed. Just saying how much Daiso was just sliding around at the back end and just able to keep it going and keep it going fast. And it takes a lot to impress Foster. He's not easy to give compliments. I know, many years of many years of knowing him, but 16 odd years of working with him, knowing him, and driving with him. It's very hard to get a compliment from Foster, and Dyson's managed to get it.
Yeah, 100%. Well, they don't call him the godfather of NASCAR for nothing, Carl. So, yeah, Daiso definitely showing a clean set of heels at the front, able to drive that car on the edge and on the edge fast. So we'll see what happens as we go green here next time around, and see how it happens in this sort of short to medium stint.
Just going back on what you were saying before, Carl, about how hard they are to drive. People may not realise, basically the only thing you can adjust in these cars, the way we run them, is the brake bias. So there's no torsion bars or roll bars or anything like that. The way the car's set up, basically it's brake bias only.
Yeah, for a race stint, of course, you have no option. Prior to the start of the race, of course, you can adjust steering ratios a little bit and things like that. It's not much of an adjustment, of course. As we go back to green flag racing, Dyson drops nicely there, gets a restart, but that's effectively the only thing you can play with. And through the race stint, the brake bias is really important to get there. As Maddie Raymond's gone around, I believe. Big moment for Mr. Sheen. He did not keep that one clean. He was trying to catch up to the back, and he's just gone around the final corner on that green flag, and he slid it up a bit too much. Big accident for Maddie Ray. The SRM car, the mobile brake and mechanical repairs, they are going to need to come out and possibly do a little bit of work for that car tonight.
Yeah, unfortunate there by Matty Ray. He's had a bit of an up and down night tonight. He's kept the car pretty clean, caught up in an instant or two, went a little bit off strategy there pitting earlier. But Mr. Sheen, not so Mr. Sheen tonight. But, another one that found a little bit of drama here at New Hampshire. Still Andrew.
That works. Sorry. Because Reuben Phelps actually did drop a lap in that last caution, but that means he's going to get the lucky dog this time around, I believe. So he's going to get back on the lead lap, and that is going to protect him in P6, which is good for him. I don't know if he's got the pace to take Stevie Dub, but it's a nice thing to have a lap advantage over the rest of the pack, because it does give you a bit of protection towards the end of the race, and will mean that he, unless anything terrible happens, he's sort of sealed himself in for a good top 10 finish tonight. So that's good news for Reuben Phelps there. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah,
one.
well, lucky. Well, now you mention it, keep one eye, ladies and gentlemen, on the 06 to Reuben Phelps. I know we've spoken about him a lot tonight. It has been an Andrew Dyson show at the front, but that little battle, just keep an eye on it when we do go green between the 98 of Stephen Williams in that fluoro green and Reuben Phelps. So 30 laps different on their pit strategy. So Stephen Williams through pit lane on lap 149. Reuben Phelps just laps to go on 179. They would have had tyres over the wall. So we've still got, what have we got? We've still got 52 laps left here tonight. We might see a little bit as Stephen Williams comes into pit lane now. So there you go. That answers my question. So Reuben Phelps will now jump Stephen Williams to go up into fifth position. So now he's going to be on a similar tyre strategy to everyone around him. The only one that's a little bit different is Daniel Hedersheim. Did see him come into pit lane about 10 laps earlier than the leaders at the front of this one. So the undercut that Daniel Hedersheim was going for didn't quite pay off. It was going to pay off if it went green, but it didn't. And now he's got 10 laps less few tyres than the guys around him. So what could have been there for Daniel Hedersheim is still a long way to go. He's shown a lot of pace, but what this has allowed Michael Skurlock to get the jump on Daniel Hedersheim. So now Michael Skurlock in the 350 for the first time tonight after sitting in fourth place will come to the restart in third position. Keep an eye out for the 350 BMX Bandit entry of Michael Skurlock. Don't write him off in this one, Carl.
One thing I would say as well is watch out for Hedersheim as well, because those tyres, they might be a tiny bit older, But that does mean they will heat up a little bit quicker because they've gone through a few heat cycles. So he might be able to get a bit of a jump. So he might jump Dyson, might jump Skurlock this time round. Watch out for Heddersheet to have a good restart here. He could be a bit of a threat, even towards his teammate of Foster, as this one goes on. Just in the early stages, just as those tyres will get up to heat nice and quick, the drivers will sort of find that they sort of get that little bit of imbalance sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see how he does on that one.
Up to Dyson, Carl, I think here, who's going to play a big part on how that will transpire into turn number 1 and 2. We've seen Andrew Dyson jump early all night. So Daniel Heddersheet on that outside, he's going to want to talk to his teammate of Edward Foster on the outside to try and think when Andrew Dyson's going to jump this. So this is all going to be dependent on the start to see what happens.
And
form tyres.
Also, watch out for Stevie Dub just behind. He is on fresh boots as well now. So Dyson gets away nicely. He launches it there, but Foster keeps up with him. So it is Foster in the lead. Skurlock's just got down below. Skurlock's got that inside line at the moment. He's holding there. He gets a little bit of a slide in the mid-corner. Heddersheet has to lift out a little bit. This is going to give Stevie Dub a bit of a run on the inside. He's got cold tyres, remember. He's just got to get them up to temperature. But watch out for Stevie Dub. He's going to have a bit more grip than those guys in front of him. As soon as those tyres get up to temperature, he could be a bit of a threat. So that's one of the other cars to look out for. Reuben Phelps, meanwhile, is dropping back a little tiny bit. He's not able to keep up there with Stevie Dubbers. Oh, into the fence. Heavily goes Brad Finlay. Brad Finlay just goes into the wall. Heavy incident there for him. Weird one for him. He just had a big snap on the exit of turn 4. He loses the rear end, manages to save the car. It almost looked like neck code contact between him and Reuben, but it was not. Just a big snap of oversteer there. But yeah, that was a big moment there. That could have been disastrous, especially for Reuben, as if Fenley had actually gone into the side of him, that could have been race over for Mr. Phelps.
Yeah, that would have been disastrous for your championship leader, but I think what we might have been seeing there is Reuben just letting Stephen go and just settling for 6. He's not really battling anyone behind him, and that possibly nearly caught him out there, but they're still going. Unfortunate there for Brad Fenley, who we see in the pit lane. But it is a familiar sight at the front. It is the 041 of Andrew Dyson leading the way. 57 laps to go. They've all settled in at the front here. It's about 3/10 of a second gap between the first 5. Each of the gaps there, as you can visually see that on your screen. So does anyone have anything for Andrew Dyson tonight here, Carl? Will it be Ed Foster? Will it be Michael Skurlock, who's been in 4th position all night, but when it's coming to the pointy end, the 350 is coming to play with the big boys. So who's going to get it tonight, Carl? Is it going to be Andrew Dyson, Ed Foster, Michael Skurlock? Can it be Stephen Williams on those fresh tyres back in 5th? Will Daniel Heddersheet come through and take what would possibly be his first win here for the Australian Stock Car Championship? Who's your money on, mate? We don't want to put the commentators' curses on, but hey, what we're here for. 192 into 237.
Look, I think if safe bet is Dyson at the moment. He is definitely a bit of a safe bet. Mark, you got to say he's been absolutely stunning out there and just able to keep that car in control through the corners despite having a bit of a happy rear end.
Yeah, definitely. The money's got to be on Dyson, but you know, the way these tyres there, if he pushes that little bit too hard and tries to get gaps on Ed, and Ed looks after his tyres, well then maybe Ed. But also you got Skurlow there, you know, you can't count him out either.
No, Scully lurking in the background like a shark, just keeping his nose in there, just sniffing out if there's any blood in it. He could make a pounce lastly in this race.
Well, he doesn't call his Twitch stream Skurlurkin for nothing. So he is Skurlurkin back there in 3rd position. But that was very
snap
close.
on Dyso there.
Yeah, we've seen that all night. He seems to hold it. Is he going to get that wrong once, Carl? We know how close it is to that outside wall off 2 and 4 here at New Hampshire. He's got to get it wrong once, but he's had 194 laps of concentration. Only now got another, can't even count, 42 to go. So we'll see how we go. But Edward Foster still sort of just sitting there in the background. He has lost a few over the last couple of laps. We're slowly seeing that gap stand out as it is. Michael Sherlock. Daniel Hedershe's dropped off the lead pack at the moment, so he's further second off fourth place. And he's got Stephen Williams all over the back and way up past a lap car there of Brad Finley. So Stevie Williams is ranging up onto the back of Daniel Hedershe fourth. He hasn't been able to make these new tyres work as well as what he would have liked. We'll see whether he can gain a spot as on this one. 196 into 237 here for round number 9.
As a round, we got a caution.
Championship, and we go caution.
Henderson has gone around. Kobe Jordan as well just got a bit of contact with Henderson, I believe, just beforehand. Henderson actually lost the rear earlier on. He was fishtailing it down the front straight. I reckon he overheated his rear tyres when that happened. Kobe Jordan getting a black flag from contact there as well. So that is not good news for Kobe, as he's going to have to serve a drive-through. But Henderson cooked his rear tyres, and then once he got to turn 1 and 2, back end just steps out of that car, goes loopity-loop, and that is that. So late caution here. That could be an interesting chain of events. Will we see any of the leads come in fresh boots? Of course. There are only 6 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Damien Purvis, I believe, will be the lucky dog, so he'll get through, but he's got quite a bit of damage. Will we see any of the lead group come in and use their last set of boots from here to get to the end? Of course, Dyson does have a pair, does have a set of whereas everybody else has only got 1 set left. So Dyson still has the Joker up his sleeve of an extra set of tyres.
Yeah, if that's the case, then definitely sitting in the box seat at the moment is Andrew Dyson. I thought possibly who behind might have had a set of tyres. I don't think at the moment, only being about 20 laps to this green flag run with a couple of cautions, that it's going to make a big big problem. So track position key at the moment. We'll see all the lead runners stay out. But I tell you what, if we get a late caution, there's only a couple on the lead lap, depending how strong Dyson feels. He does have that up his sleeve if he does have to pull that card. But at the moment, I'd strongly suggest we'll go green to the end, and going to be who's got the best car under him.
If you're Daniel Hedershe right now, you'd definitely... I would definitely be coming in and chucking a fresh set of boots on just to see how this goes. Of course, he did stop a little bit earlier than the rest of them. But you'd give it a bit of a go right now. I think it would be worth trying it out. He could be in for, it might absolutely be disastrous, but I don't think he's going to make any moves from where he is. We've got a few people coming in for tyres. So Norman Clark coming in. He's coming in for some fresh boots, so he's going to use up his final set. So he's decided to do it now. He's 1 lap down, but if he can get up past Patterson and Kobe Jordan, he will get past Kobe Jordan, of course, because Jordan's got a black flag. But if he can get past a few of those drivers and get back to the first car a lap down, he could be in for a really good finish here for Norman Clark, and that would be very useful for him. Championship wise, I think Norman's up in the top at the moment. I think he's sitting in 9th at the moment.
Truly,
yeah. And so that could be a really, that could pay off for him latter stages of this race. If we get another caution in the next 5 or 10 laps, and he gets the lucky dog position, he can get back on the lead lap and be the car on the freshest set of boots, and that could pay off for him. So, it's motorsport. Anything can happen. You never know how it's going to go.
100% agree with you. It's going to take a little bit of luck. We're going to see Stuart Patterson get the wave around, I'd suggest, here being the first car a lap down, which will put then Norman Clark the first car a lap down when we do go green again. But you might be relying, or we will be relying on another caution. We do stay up here in commentator land. Like safety cars breed safety cars, or caution breed caution. So that possibly could happen. And that will put Norman Clark back on the lead lap, and possibly in with a shot on this one.
Guess what? Sherlock here on the restart.
All right, so there we go. We've got it from the man himself. Watch Michael Sherlock on the restart. Inside of that second row, it will be Andrew Dyson taking us to the green flag once again. Edward Foster outside of him. The man to keep an eye out, Michael Sherlock in the 350 with Daniel Hedershe on that second row. Stephen Williams and Reuben Phelps on that third row. Jamie Nankervis on the fourth row, last of the cars on the lead lap, and we're green here, 200 into 237, and Dyson gone very early into turn number 1 and 2 for the restart. Daniel Heddersheet trying to get the run around the outside of Michael Skurlock. He's going to use the draft off the corner, very close there by Heddersheet and Skurlock, but Heddersheet with a run out of turn number 1 and 2 down the outside, and with the toe of Edward Foster, he's got the job done and is up to third place over Michael Skurlock. So, tell you what, the elbows are out now. Stephen Williams making the move down the inside of Reuben Phelps there, down the main straight as well. So, Stephen Williams back up into 5th position off this restart, Jen.
Yeah, well, Michael actually got caught napping there. I thought would have been a lot closer to Zach Tyson or Ricky. A little bit of sleep. But
Catched him out a tiny bit. He almost got it done, but now he's got Stevie Dub all over the back of him. So this could be an interesting little battle towards the end. We'll see how this one runs out, because we count down 34 laps remaining, not far to go now. So we are getting towards the end of this race. The laps are counting down relatively football.
And Reuben Phelps, as we're watching here in behind Stephen Williams, he's found a little bit of pace late in this one as well. So it's on the same strategy as the leaders. So 06, the championship leader at the moment, Reuben Phelps, keeping up with this lead pack here early on in this green flag stint. So another 33 laps to go. It is Andrew Dyson still making that gap get ever so slightly bigger over Edward Foster at the front, but this is the battle for the minors, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Jamie Nankervis in 7th, 4.5 seconds in behind this battle. So watch this battle. But tell you what, Dyson not getting away from Ed as much as I thought. It looked like he was starting to, but just while I was talking, watching the other battle, the gap at the front has not changed. So it still is pretty much a genuine 6-car battle for the lead of this one.
It is indeed. Fascinating battle we've got on. Question for you, Aidan, and you, Mark. Was Milo the Moose is the mascot for New Hampshire. But the moose has 3 predators that affect it in the wild. We're not including humans in this one. Can you name the 3 predators that affect the moose out in the wild?
Okay.
JP, you're open to this as well, of course. I do know you have knowledge in your back pocket, so you could absolutely steal this one.
I'll say one of them would be the wolf.
It is indeed. One of them is the wolf indeed.
Well, for the sake of a pun, I'm absolutely.
Oh,
that was terrible.
oh.
Had to pull one out. So yeah, what was your guess? Sorry, Mark. What did you say?
I know for a fact it's the wolf.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I got nothing. I just know it'd be something. Yeah,
Well, wolf, and there is something that's also very close to a wolf in terms of names. It's got there's a famous comic book character from Marvel named after him as well.
Wolverine.
Indeed, yes. Very rare occasions, but the Wolverines can take them. And of course, the bear. Bears, of course, are a predator of the moose. So, yes, some absolutely useless information there, and nothing to do with motorsport, but I thought I would pull that one out.
That's right.
It's all Mark's fault for putting that in the commentator's notes. He had the moose listed down in the commentator's notes, and I thought I would confuse everybody with some moose-related information. Yeah, Gail Foster actually got the bear one right. So yeah, well done, Gail.
Yeah, well done, Gail. I was absolutely useless, as I said. So yeah, absolutely terrible from my part on that one. But I tell you what, I'm going to go to bed. At least I'm a little bit brighter now on my moose back. So that's good. A little bit of learning here on the SimShed Broadcasting on a Saturday night. So thank you for that, Carl. But still, Andrew Dyson leading. Phelps just dropped off the back. Dropped off the back of Steve Williams as well. So 210 of 237. Looks like the front 5 have sort of run away from this one. But Andrew Dyson still looking fast in front. Consistently lapped about a second. then Foster and ahead of him. So all going well. It looks like it's Andrew Dyson's show, but 210 in 237.27 to go. We could have another caution yet. Anything can happen. Long way to go.
One battle to look out for is 8th and 9th. It's Patterson and Clark. Patterson is doing a good job of holding on to there. Greg Spencer also sitting up there with these boys, but he is an extra lap down. So he's 2 laps down rather than the single lap down, but he is trying his best to get past Patterson, trying his best to sort of get past, yeah, he's got past Patterson actually. So Greg Spencer is moving his way up, but this is the battle for the first of the cars a lap down. So if a late caution does come out, they will get the lucky dog, of course. So this is a battle just to keep your eyes on. Reuben Phelps is doing a good job just keeping the car there. Jamie Curvis has had a good run, running the car up from 17th to 7th at the moment, so 10 spots gained. And he, of course, has got some relatively fresh boots on his car as well. So he's doing a good job. A lot of damage on that car, though, so he really can't do much to catch up to Reuben. Reuben can't do much to catch up to Stevie Dubb. And then it is that train from 1st to 4th between Andrew Dyson and Stevie Dubb. So Dyson, Foster, Hedersheed, Skurlock, and Stevie Williams at the moment, the top 5. But Dyson has pulled out a second lead. Again, Dyson is just absolutely flying. And Foster, he's trying to answer him. He's pulled out a second over his teammate Daniel Hedersheid, who of course has got some slightly older tyres, but he's just not able to keep up with Dyson's pace. Dyson is just on an absolute blinder.
Driving absolutely out of it. He looks like he hasn't been headed. He was a little bit early in that first stint. Once we saw him get his head around the legs front, what we've seen off all these restarts, been a rubber van just holding him there for around about 10 or 15 laps. You can see it's snap like we see now, and he slowly drives off in the distance. And you did mention Jamie Van Purvis. It is a great drive. As much as Jamie's down 7th position at the moment, he's up 10 positions starting. You referenced Jamie. He was one of the people with his teammate Scott McClintock early in the race, decided to come down to the pop-up on 2 occasions, and unfortunately put them in an incident early in this one. But Jamie's been able to get the car repaired as much as possible, kept circulating, and finds himself on the lead lap in 7th position. What'll be a big chunk of points for Jamie. But back to the leader, Andrew Dyson, 1.5 seconds now over Edward Foster, as we've only got 23 to go.
Yeah, it's the thing of not giving up in sort of oval racing is you've just got to keep circulating. If you're a lap or 2 down, you can sometimes get it back. Of course, there are some circumstances the engine is absolutely, to put it in technical terms, buggered. Then there's not much you can do, unfortunately. But if you've got a car that can still circulate at some speed, then you can take it back out there and sometimes work your way right back to the front. We saw this man, Andrew Dyson, do it at the beginning of the year in the AEST Series, taking out the victory at Daytona for the first race of the season. He crossed the line with about pretty much just a roll cage left on that car. And he got the win, of course, with all of that damage. And he was down a lap at one stage, I believe, as well. And we saw Michael Skurlock the year before actually do exactly the same thing. He was about 2 laps down. He managed to come back and win at Daytona. And this is the thing about the longer races, is you can actually find yourself coming back from a position that's not too good. If the race has a lot of incidents in it, you can sometimes work yourself back up to the front, even get yourself a victory, or at least get yourself a decent finish.
Yeah, and we saw that last week. The current series champion, Reuben Phelps, he actually went a lap, walked down early, and that up, and ended up having a nice solid lap. Another example right there. But at the moment, as you've got Michael Skurlock, the battle that he's had all race long with Daniel Hedersheed, in behind him in 4th position as well. So we saw Michael Skurlock earlier get in front of Daniel Hedersheed, who held the wood over Michael Skurlock for most earlier of the race. Now it's gone back to status quo, but Skurlock will want to come and talk to us here in the broadcast booth. Skurly, always up for a chat. Is he going to be able to get the job done over Daniel Hedersheed? Time will tell. But Andrew Dyson at the front, not only are we mentioning the win at Daytona that you were referencing before, and obviously the luck with ovals, how you can win them. I'll tell you what, it's going to be the first this team going and go green to the end, keep the lead. It's going to be the first back-to-back winner here for the custom pace Diecast Australian stock car, coming off the back of the Anzac Cup win last week in Talladega. So Andrew Dyson going for the first back win here for season 2022.
Yeah, of course, Dyson winning Talladega. He got 2 wins at Talladega last week. Was getting a really good job, and hard to do on the super speedways, but he has just been so impressive lately, Dyson. He's just been able to get the car figured out, and super speedways can be a bit of a lottery. You can get people up in positions where they get a really strong finish, where that usually they're not up in those positions. I will include myself in that list because I've got some very good finishes on super speedways. When really I'm not really a top 10 finishing sort of person. I'm sort of more in the top 10 to top 20 sort of areas are generally my area of lurking around in a race. But on the super speedways, it can happen. Meanwhile, Norman Clark has got past Spencer. They are battling it out on the track at the moment, the 197 versus the 09.
Addison on the outside there of Norman Clark. So this is the battle for 8th and 9th on the racetrack. So they're on the lead lap, and Norman Clark's currently got the better.
1 lap down, pretty sure.
1 lap down, but this is still a battle for.
It is, but this is the battle for the first car on the lead lap. So this after for Norman Clark. Of course, he has got the freshest boots out there as well. You see Brad Allison as well, just sitting back there. He's chasing down Greg Spencer at the moment, who's just out in front of this battle, and this is the battle for position between those two as well. So Brad Allison trying to get Greg Spencer, of course, they're 2 laps down. Norman just a few moments in the mid-corner. He's managed to keep the car holding on nicely though, but he has been fighting hard, and he's really been pushing to get up into that position. So he's currently sitting in P8. So if we get a caution now, Norman Clark will get back into the lap, so that would be useful for him. But Dyson will be hoping that we don't see that caution flag, because he's currently got a 2.5-second lead over Foster. So he's got a very nice lead at the moment. Skurlock is putting pressure on Hedersheet as well now. And watch out for Stevie Dubb at the end of this race as well. 13.5 laps remaining. We are getting towards the end of the custom paints diecast. New Hampshire Magic Mile race it here. The Magic Mile, of course. No stripping involved for this one, luckily, but it is getting towards the end of the race. We are stripping away the laps, we should say. It is Dyson in the lead currently, but this battle for third is not over by a long shot.
Most definitely not, Carlos. We see Brad Allison now getting a job done on Norman Clark, but if we can, we'll jump across to the battle for third, fourth, fifth between Daniel Hedersheet, Michael Skurlock, and Steve Williams. So definitely heating up here, 225 and 237. Steve Williams just fallen off the back of this pack at the moment. You can see Edward Foster. He's now got a lap car between himself and his teammate Daniel Hedersheet as Hedersheet tries to make the move down the inside into 1 or 2. Michael Skurlock's going to follow him through on that one. But Skurley's got 11 laps left to do it. Does he have anything, Daniel Hedersheet, to be able to come and chat to us on the podium here tonight, gents? I don't know. It's been a yo-yo all night. The 350 has come quicker. His car has come along quicker as the stints have gone on. He's got another 10 to go. He does have 10 laps. The better tyres are Daniel Hedersheet. So does Michael Skurlock have anything to be able to take the final step to the podium?
Chin to the rim at the moment for Skurley, and the moustache will be putting the pressure on, of course. The famous handlebar moustache of Mr. Michael Skurlock. He's going to be absolutely handling this car the best he can and trying to get past Hedersheet, but Hedersheet is no fool. He is very capable of defending. He's done a great job so far with only 10 laps remaining. Not long until the end of this race, and not long until Skurlock does not get an opportunity, so he might have to try and make a bit of a lunge here, try for a late braking opportunity, but again, that can come with some serious risk as well.
Yeah, no doubt he will. It is Michael Skurlock. He'll have a go at every available opportunity, but not long to go now. We're under 10 laps. We'll see whether he's got anything for Daniel Hedersheet. But it has been a race-long battle. Hedersheet now just slowly closing the gap there on Ed Foster. It looks like it's visibly closer. It might be a little bit of an optical illusion, but Daniel Hedersheet looks like he's slowly creeping up onto the back of Ed Foster. So the battle for second might not be over in this one as well yet, Jen.
Yeah, that's it. Hadashi's been setting some faster laps than Foster. Foster seems to be struggling a little bit. He's lost a lot of time. He's now almost 4 seconds behind Dyson as well. So Foster looks to be losing time at quite a fast rate of knots right here.
Yeah, it is. I don't know whether he's had a little bit of incident with the outside wall. It doesn't look like it. It looks like that Daniel Heddersheet has got a little bit of a better car on a longer run here. So Sherlock getting really loose there. Oh, nearly up into the outside wall. That's going to give Stephen Williams the position. Michael Skurlock, that's his chance to a podium gone, bar a safety car or a caution. Michael Skurlock, 50. Very good car control to keep that car off that outside wall there.
And $5 penalty for you, Mr. Angel. Safety car jar, of course. Pace car in Naples. Yeah, that's it. That's all right. That pays for our end of year party, so that's fine.
For it all myself then, by the looks of it, no doubt. That's all right.
That's all good. But yeah, Heddersheet is absolutely fantastic. Remember, Heddersheet's on slightly older tyres as well. His tyres have done about 11 more laps and goes around him, but he's got some good pace towards the end. Stevie Dubb is having a really good strong run at the end here as well, so Stevie Dubb is catching onto the back here. Skurlock doesn't appear to have the pace to catch on now. Of course, when you have a big wiggle like that, the rear tyres get quite hot as well, and they can sort of struggle for a few laps. So it can take a couple of laps for them to get back to normal. But meanwhile, up front, you just saw the picture there. The orange car just flicking through. Dyson absolutely annihilating it at the front. One of the fastest cars out there. Absolutely pulling away. And just an absolutely fantastic drive from Andrew Dyson tonight. Commanding drive by the DPR driver.
Yeah, 4 seconds up the road too, mind you. He's now just kicked over 4 seconds up the road from Edward Foster. So currently lapping about the same lap times. We've got lap cars coming as Brad Fenley. So got past Brad Fenley. There's the gap there. You can see Edward Foster and Daniel Heddersheet coming onto the main straight in the background, but it's been absolutely commanding drive by the 041 EPRSimRigs.com entry of Andrew Dyson here tonight. 4 laps to go. Everything going well. Andrew Dyson will take home round number 9 of the Custom Paint Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. But that's the commentator's curse if I've ever seen one. Down the main straight, 3 to go this time around for the 041. But the battle for second is not over. Edward Foster and Daniel Heddersheet, it is on for second and third place in the motor race.
A little bit further back for the battle of E10, it is Brad Allison that managed to get past Greg Spencer, who's done a fantastic job of nursing that car home, minus the front, the whole front of that car. Greg Spencer's done a great job. He's just fallen down to P11. Brad Allison has had a good recovery getting up to P10. I don't think he's going to gain any more positions than that, though. He is a lap down on Stuart Patterson and Norman Clark.
Williams into the wall big time in the background there, Carl. Sorry, and that's going to allow Michael Skurlock to have a run around the outside. So Stephen Williams, a big hit into the outside wall in 4th position. So we've had a move for 4th position now with Michael Skurlock, but only 2 laps to go here on board with the 041 Andrew Dyson through turns number 3 and 4 for the second last time tonight for the Magic Mile 250 here on the SimShed Broadcasting. The white flag is out and he'll make his way.
We got a caution. We got a caution before the white flag. Hayden, we got a caution before the white flag, and it was Brad Fenley. Fenley just losing the car just before the white flag came out. Lost it into turn 4, went up into the wall, heavy contact in the wall. Back end just snapped out on him. And very lucky for Foster to get through there. He almost got caught up in that incident. So importantly, that happened just critically, just before Dyson crossed the line for that white flag. That was literally, the caution came out about 5 meters before Dyson crossed the line for that white flag. 5 meters later, and Dyson would have won this race. Now it's a green white checker.
I tell you what, something to spice it up here for round number 9 of the Australian Stock Car Championship, Carl. Green, white checker, 5 metres being in it, mind you. And we're going to go green, white checker. We're going to get the elbows out. I tell you, the person who's secretly smiling behind his virtual helmet is Norman Clark. He's going to get the Lockie dog here. So he's going to go back onto the lead lap. When we go green, once again, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no other caution. So I believe it is the way, Carl, that once we go green, the next flag will end the race. So it's definitely going to be elbows out here on the restart.
Will be indeed. Yeah, Dyson just got so unlucky there. It was literally absolutely nothing. I'm just going back to check it, see how close it was, and it was literally nothing between him crossing the line and that caution coming out. So yeah, he got very unlucky there, you got to say. Norman Clark, of course, will get the waiver round now. So this is what he was fighting for between himself and Patterson. So Norman Clark now on the lead lap. So that is good news for him at least. But it is a green white checker. Green white checkers, of course, if you're not used to oval racing, if you've never seen one before, effectively it just means that we get to race to the end rather than finishing under yellow. The green flag will come out, then the white flag, and then it will be the end of the race, of course. So they get a couple of laps of racing in just to finish this one off.
Now, I've got a question. Did any of these front leaders included fuel and trouble with fuel?
By looking at the pit transit time, sorry to cut in there, Carl, by looking at their pit transit time there, Mark, looks like that'd be good. They've had full tank. So I think that's what I looked when we saw the pit strategies. I could be wrong, but I believe they'll be good to go.
Well, it's going to be very close. I mean, of course, they might have just taken a little, a gallon less of fuel in the car. Somebody like Stevie Dubb, for example, so Michael Skerlock, for example, he was very, very quick through pit lane. And he was there was a couple of tenths quicker than Foster. So he might have just taken a little bit less fuel. And that could just mean that he has he might just be on vapors towards the end. But I think everybody's going to be pretty much safe as they're pretty much towards the end. The only driver that is questionable actually is Daniel Hedersheed. He might be a little bit, he might be just a tiny bit worried about the fuel, but I think he should be okay.
Yeah, he'll be okay, I think, by a couple of laps. Main 179.
He's done 71 laps on that. So if the question is though, if he's short fueled thinking about the finish, then of course that could come into effect. But he has had a couple of laps under caution, so that usually means that you will have plenty of gas in the tank to get to the end.
Well, I tell you what, with all that up in the air, don't go away here on SimShed Broadcasting. We're going to go green next lap, and we're going to go green, white checker to decide who's going to take home round number 1, the Magic Mile 250 here from New Hampshire Speedway, from New Hampshire Motor Speedway here on SimShed Broadcasting, custom inks and diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. It's going to be Andrew Dyson bringing us to the green flag for the last time tonight. Edward Foster out of P2, Daniel Hedersheed and Michael Sherlock off the second row, Stephen Williams, Reuben Phelps off the third row with Jamie Nankervis and Norman Clark off the fourth row. Who's going to take home the chocolates tonight? Is it going to be Andrew Dyson? Will he go back-to-back after coming off the Anzac Cup last Saturday night? Will it be Ed Foster back into victory lane for the 53 Natari Autosports? Can it be Daniel Hedersheed for his first Weekend Warriors win? Will it be Michael Sherlock from BMX Bandits up there as well? Or could it be someone in the background? But we're green here for the green-white checker, and it's Andrew Dyson with a big jump off the inside down into turn number 1 and 2, Carl.
Good start there from Dyson. Skerlock got a really good start as well, but he's hung up high and dry as we've got another caution. Another yellow's come out.
So that's the end of the race, I believe.
I believe so, Mark. Adam Ariel, unfortunately, lost the car there. Going into the corner, loses the rear of the car in turn 1. Back end steps out on him. He has a big spin. Did he collect anybody with him? Go back to have a little look at that one. I think he might have just no, he got through. Everybody else got through there relatively fine. So yeah, unfortunately, that will do it. I think it's only the one green white checker,
It's
isn't
only
it?
the one
Yeah,
green white.
yeah.
Yep.
So that means that Andrew Dyson is the back-to-back winner tonight. A fantastic drive from him, unless something catastrophic happens in the next, couple of meters. But Foster will come home second. Daniel Hedersheet is a lucky third because Skerlock was all over the back of him in fourth. Stevie Dub fifth. Reuben Phelps does a great job to bring it home in sixth. Very good recovery drive from him. Jamie Dan Curvis in seventh. Norman Clark brings it home in eighth position with Stuart Patterson in ninth, 10th for Brad Allison.
Yeah, good drive by all tonight. Andrew Dyson with an absolutely dominant performance at the front rather. Edward Foster home in P2, as you said, Carl. Nice solid bag of points for Ed Foster after a couple of disappointing rounds by his own admission, I'd suggest. Daniel Hedersheed here, third place tonight. Nice solid one. He held off Michael Skurlock in what was a night-long battle back and forth between Michael Skurlock in fourth and Steve Williams. A great night tonight. A lot more cautions than I probably thought there would have been, Carl, albeit going from a super speedway to a 1 mile shorter track. We did probably expect it a little bit, but good racing all in all by all, and an absolute dominant night by Andrew Dyson.
Yeah, unfortunately, a few cautions tonight, and that's really hurt. Um, who is that? Adam Ariel just getting caught out, and somebody else as well caught out on track as well. Brad Fenley, both missing pit lane entry. Just sneaking past Dyson there, just to come down and get back in. But Dyson doing the victory donuts out on track, well deserved. Use up those rear tires and burn them up, my friend. You've earned that one. Just absolute fantastic drive from Dyson. A really good job. Foster very much in damage control tonight. It doesn't look like much happened at the front because they finished as they started, first and second. But it's well, top four in all honesty, very much finished where they started. Just a slight change between Hedersheet and Skurlock. But a lot of action in that race. Fantastic driving and some fantastic green flag racing as well between all the drivers there.
Yeah, definitely. It was very interesting to watch as we bring up the unofficial results in the graphic on the screen. So we'll go through your full standings once again tonight. It was Andrew Dyson taking home the win over Edward Foster and Daniel Hedersheed to have an Atari Autosports 2 and 3. Michael Skurlock home in fourth place tonight with Stephen Williams, rounding out a DPR 1 and 5, coming home in fifth position. Reuben Phelps, the current series champion, walks away tonight with a solid sixth place position. Damien Nankervis in seventh. Norman Clark in eighth, Stuart Patterson in ninth, Brad Allison rounding out your 10. We go across in the 11th position tonight was Greg Spencer, who had a night that was a tough one in the office, but he held on to get a solid P11 finishing position tonight. Matthew Raymond, Mr. Sheen, wasn't so Sheen tonight, but held on for 12th. Brenton Henderson home in 13th. Kobe Jordan in 14th. Kristen Koch in 15th. Brad Fenley home in 16th. Scott McClintock in 17th. Adam Ariel in 18th. Mark Smith came home in 19th. Adam Malone, after being up there early, comes home in 20th position. In 21st position tonight would see the 015 of Brett Campbell come home. Mark Johansson in 22nd. Rounds out your 23 starters. But great night in the office, guys. Andrew Dyson back to back, not only taking the Anzac Cup, but the Magic Mile 250. So we'll bring in your place getters into the broadcast booth. Carl, I'll let you kick off with Daniel Hedges.
Yeah, congratulations tonight, Daniel Hedersheed from Atari Autosport. A very strong run from you tonight. P3 finish. Very, very tricky there for you. It was a long race, and you managed to defend at the end and just make it so Skurlock couldn't get past.
Yeah, it wasn't a very long race. I thought I'd try something different before that. Well, at the end of the race, pit a bit earlier and see my tyres were pretty worn. Those guys in front were looking after their tyres a lot better than me, and obviously the caution came out, screwed me over a little bit, and I thought I was going to be defending for fourth, but managed to get that move down on Skirley on that restart, hold it from there.
Yeah, obviously that late caution must have made your heart sink when that came out.
Yeah, it did. It was a long shot to be able to have any pace to beat Ed and Andrew, but yeah, it paid off. It worked in the end. Podium, I'll take that.
Congratulations tonight, Daniel. A really good job for yourself and a strong finish there in P3. The usual thing is shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, shout out to the Natari boys again. You guys, good broadcast in this league. It's a good way to spend my Saturday night. And fully floored and AJD services.
So congratulations tonight. Well done again, Daniel Headsheet of Natari. Next up, we'll head to his teammate, Mr. Edward Foster. Ed, congratulations on a P2 finish tonight. You started second, you finished second. It wasn't that cut and dry, that clear. Obviously, a lot of racing in that one.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. Broken up by a few cautions. I probably would have liked, but it was such a long race. We were just we were always going to get some green flag running here somewhere. I was quite optimistic at the beginning when I managed to get around Dice. I thought, maybe I've got a bit of pace over everyone, but then we sort of came out that middle stint, and Dice just took off. I don't know. I was watching how hard he was driving it, how sideways the car was getting, something like that, and I was quite sort of happy to let him go at that stage. Thinking, he can't make that last. Guess what? He made it last. So beat by a better driver at the end of the day. So that did be
Yeah, we heard you over the radio say, Dice, so I think it was just in the final sort of stop, just how well he drove in that middle stint towards the end as well. He just seems to have that car control. It's very frustrating. It's very great to watch on stream, but I imagine from your position, it must have been frustrating to see that thing stepping out of the back end and still being faster.
It was less frustrating than it was confusing. I was trying to figure out, because normally I can sort of, you're sitting in behind a guy, you can see sort of what they're doing differently to do, and try and sort of learn from that. Everyone does it. You're up behind somebody quicker than you try and learn things, try and mimic what they're doing. But I don't mind, sticking my hand up and saying I can do it. I literally can do that. So he walks off first, I walk off to P2, and we'll just have to take it.
And second place tonight, obviously, good result for yourself, and that's going to help slightly in the championship standing.
It's April, mate. This thing doesn't finish until a lot later on. So, that's not even in my head.
All right, but congratulations tonight. Well done for a strong finish. Usual thing, a shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, well, Daniel just mentioned HOD in the fully forward, so thanks to them, obviously. And great running with the boys tonight. It's all right, even especially in the 87 race we had before. It was good, everyone's getting on well. It was just a good atmosphere all night. Racing the Dice over some other guys playing. So,
Well done, and congratulations to Strong P2. And finally tonight, we will head to the orange-flavoured DPR car. The man that Phoenix smoked the field tonight, Mr. Andrew Dyson. Congratulations on a very strong victory.
Hey guys, thanks for that. It was a really fun race tonight.
You gave us some great entertainment up here in the booth, because there were I reckon there'd been about 15 occasions where I went, oh god, that's it, Dyson's going to crash, and then all of a sudden you're just fine. Your car control is something else sometimes. It is a marvellous thing to watch.
I felt exactly how you felt. I think the noises you were just making, I probably was repeating every single time. Actually, no, I was pretty angry with myself a lot of the times, because that's not how you go fast. But anyway, the setup was actually pretty good tonight. You could kind of lean on it a little bit and let it get a little bit away from you, and it wouldn't completely snap and throw you into the fence. You could take some risks and kind of get away with it. And I guess I'll have to attribute those little moments to that.
You say it didn't snap and throw you into defence. I think there's about 12 other drivers that disagree with that, as they had exactly that happen. It was a really good, strong race for you. Obviously, that middle stint, you had some ridiculously good speed there.
Yeah, once I got on even tyres with everybody else, I was able to have a bit of a crack at trying to get back towards the front. But that earliest stint there, well, I guess second stint, I don't know what you'd call it. After we all stopped for the first time, I didn't take tyres, and I had a bit of a chance to learn what it was going to be like on older tyres. So as the race kind of went on and we all had the same tyres later on, I guess I already had a bit of knowledge of what it was going to be like, and that probably helped me in those longer runs there.
Oh, absolutely. We saw you taking those tyres for a nice long time and had an extra set up your sleeves if you needed it. You did not need them at all tonight, by the looks of things. But congratulations again. 2 wins in a row for you as well here in the Weekend Warriors.
Thanks, man. The last week, it's a team win. Like you can't win races at Talladega without at least a friend or someone pushing you along. So that one's also on Steve. I guess me, yeah, I got this race this week, but I wouldn't have got it last week without Steve. So that was Alvin, I reckon.
And look, congratulations on taking out the first double victor this year in 2022. So the usual thing of shout out and love to all those sponsors that are really getting some good value for money at the moment on your car.
Yeah, I guess they are. Depends how much you're watching me or not, but hopefully not too much because that's how you put the mockers on it, right? So don't do that. Great racing with all the guys.
Slow you down, guys. Though.
Great racing with all the guys tonight. That was a lot of fun there in those few stints and trying to get some moves on. Really difficult to pass here, but yeah, had a heap of fun with that. Yeah, shout out to you guys for putting on the league, Mark, all the guys behind the scenes at Weekend Warriors that make this happen. JP from SimShed Broadcasting gets the job done for the show and everyone tuning in. No doubt, Ed's mum, how you going? Watching tonight? Love your work on the comments section. And shout out to simrings.com, South Elvis and Hoyers, BMX Mechanical, Being Snokers, BMP Designs, all those cool people that get around.
Congratulations tonight, guys. So always a pleasure to have you up here in the booth. Always a pleasure to watch you work out there. A really strong win tonight, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth very, very shortly.
Fingers crossed, man. I'll see you later.
So, Aiden, Mark, a really strong race tonight.
Yeah, it's a great race tonight. Congratulations, top 3. Well done. Back in first one of the season, and it's our first overtime race for also.
Yeah, first green-white checker tonight, gentlemen, and it definitely didn't disappoint, but it was a night that was all about Andrew Dyson with a dominant win. But, gents, it's over before we even blink, but that brings to an end round number 9 of the Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. But that's not where it all stops here on SimShed Broadcasting, because we'll bring up in front of you now. Go live again on Tuesday night for the Goodyear Warana Super Series. Monday night for the... let's start that again. We'll go live Monday night for the Real Sim Racing Australia Super 2 E-Series. Then they'll be live back here again on SimShed Broadcasting on Tuesday night for the Goodyear Warana Super Series. Now I've got that the right way around. But then we go live again here next Saturday night, same time, same place, for the next round of Custom Paints and Diecast Australian Stock Car Championship. Gentlemen, can Andrew Dyson go 3 from 3? Will Edward Foster get a win? He hasn't been in the victory lane for a couple of weeks. Or will one of the other guys come up and steal the victory? We'll find out. You'll have to tune in here live on SimShed Broadcasting next Saturday night to find out that if that is the case. But Carl, good calling with you tonight, and look forward to next round before we wrap up the broadcast.
Absolutely. It will be a pleasure to have you back next week. We look forward to seeing you at Dover. Of course, a very different beast to tame. Who will go for the monster mile and who will have a monster of a race? We will find out then. As always, a big thank you to Mr. Mark Johansson as well. Thanks for joining us up here in the booth. Obviously, hopefully next time we won't see you up here in the booth until the end when you cross the line in first place. Of course, JP as well behind the cameras. Aiden Schultz, thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast. And as ever, Carl Withing, myself, thank you very much for watching. Of course, make sure to like, subscribe, share around all the broadcasts as well. It does help the series grow. The more you do that, the more it grows. But from all of us, we wish you a good night, and we will see you next week.